Welcome to the Drew Yari Show.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm so-so.
What's wrong?
Well, I'm still kind of battling this cold that I have.
Oh, I understand. I'm like down with this weather too.
Yeah, like, it's weird because I don't really get sick that often, and when I do, it, like, comes with a force.
Oh man, I know. I know exactly what you mean. I get sick at least once a year, but like it's a hard one.
Yeah, because I remember last year, I was sick for, it felt like, literally 3 months.
Oh, that's not good.
So I had to go to the doctor, and it turns out it was asthma. And, yeah, the coughing went away, but the asthma, still lingered around.
Oh,
And,
are you taking anything for it?
well, I have my pump. I have a bunch of allergy medicine, and, my mom's like a hoarder when it comes to medicine.
Yeah.
So, like, anytime I go to my mom's house, if she senses that I'm sick, she'll automatically just, like, throw a pill in my face. Take that.
Yeah, mom does the same thing.
So, how was your mom doing, by the way? It was her birthday yesterday, right?
It was her birthday yesterday. We celebrated since Saturday. She's doing pretty good. I was happy that on Saturday because I took her out to brunch with my cousin. And usually the restaurants that I pick, she'll be okay with it. But this one, for whatever reason, she was like, "Oh my gosh, everything's so good," and it's true. I picked it because I had gone there 2 weeks ago with my friend, and we're just eating. I was like, "Oh my gosh, the salmon looks really good," and I had avocado stuffed with shrimp in it, and it was delicious too. And I was like, "I gotta get mom in here," and. We were scheduled to go into the city to go meet up with my other friend, but it turns out that she ended up being sick. My friend and my boss at the same time because she's both my boss and my friend, and we share an office. So I figure she got really sick Saturday morning, but she already looked sick on Friday, and I was like, oh gosh, I hope I'm not getting whatever is left from her cold.
Ugh. So, I just had a brain fart. Okay. So are you sick already, or?
No, I'm hoping I'm not. What I did yesterday, I started getting a scratchy throat,
Ugh.
and today my throat's not bad, but I feel like I have phlegm at the back. Like I think it's starting to be congested because all day my nose has been stuffy.
Ugh.
So I'm like, I hope I don't sound congested during it. And,
No, you're good.
Oh, good. That was one of my fears. I was like, oh, God. Yeah, so it's just congestion. And then the whole day, I just felt like I wanted to sleep. And I was like, this isn't good. Woke up super tired. Was at work. I ended up having a coffee like around 3 o'clock just to boost me because I'm like, if I continue sitting there, I'll just pass out. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. Today's my day off, and I was helping my dad because my parents are actually selling the house that I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're gonna be moving into a pretty nice house from what I've seen. I haven't seen it in person yet. So I was helping my dad move stuff out of the storage and into like a new storage. So I got up pretty early. Went over and helped him. I didn't really eat anything. I was sweating like crazy, and helping my dad out, and that's always fun helping him out. By the way,
Aww.
I love my dad, but he can be a little bit much, if that makes sense.
No, I know.
Like he's a good dude. He'll just have his moments. Like if you do maybe one little teensy tiny thing wrong, he'll just kind of blow it out of proportion. And then later on, he'll talk to you about it. He'll be like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm like, uh-huh. And, Yeah, we're good after that. We went home and my mom made me breakfast. And, like I mentioned earlier, she just like threw medicine at me. Take this. And later on, I had to. I let my dad know earlier because I thought we were going to take longer than we should have. We actually finished a lot earlier, and told him I had some things to do. I had to, go do some errands or whatever, which I did. So when I got home, my girlfriend she said since Saturday she's had this headache. It's like a tension headache.
Yeah, I know.
And she mentioned that she feels dehydrated, and she says I drink a lot of water though, and I'm like, I don't know, it sounds kind of fishy. I suggested she should have called in to work. So she had to go to work at 3, and this was like at 12. So I was taking her to work, and we're driving on the access road, and all of a sudden she starts crying. She's saying, I feel like I'm having an anxiety attack. My heart's, beating really fast.
Oh, no.
So we pull onto the side of the road, and she calls into work, and, she's letting she's letting the boss know that, she really can't come in today. So took her to the hospital, waited for a bit, and turns out she has a pinched nerve, like on the back of her right shoulder.
Oh, wow.
So I believe she's had that for a while, actually. She's had that since she was in high school, I believe. And so the doctor gave her some Valium and muscle relaxers. So, literally right before I got home and turned my laptop on, we went to our local grocery store, to the pharmacy there, because it's actually a lot cheaper there and they take any insurance. And she only paid literally $2 for her muscle relaxer and a Valium.
That's great.
Yeah,
that is great. So was that what was causing her the tension headache?
It's stress. The job that she works at, she's a head cashier.
Okay.
So where we work, it's like some like frou-frou, Whole Foods, health food store.
Right.
And the customers we get there are anal about everything. So, yeah, I don't know. She can go into work tomorrow. I suggested to her, maybe you should talk to them about moving to another department that doesn't involve so much standing and dealing with customers too much.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the pinched nerve. She doesn't want to be in the same position the entire day and then just worse than that. So. Not to mention if she was getting an anxiety attack, then yeah, that's like your body just basically telling you, hey, you need to stop whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, because I can relate when it comes to anxiety, panic attacks.
Me too. I used to get them when I was when I started college. I started getting them a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I started getting them when in my adulthood.
Yeah.
Like I remember the job I used to have. I used to work at a residential treatment center for at-risk kids, and that's the type of job where you need thick skin. So
yeah.
And I was working the morning shift. And I got up, and I was. What was that?
That was my alarm, because I was like, let me put an alarm for 9 o'clock in case I fall asleep.
So you have the Bella Twins as your alarm song?
I do. I actually do.
Hey, not hating. Anyways,
I used to have. You know what is? I used to have. Which one was it? AJ Lee's as an alarm. But that one's like so loud. This one is a little bit like it'll still wake me up, but it's a little bit chilled out.
I know my brother-in-law's or my girlfriend's brother, his girlfriend has some Rihanna song as an alarm song. Because the motivation is I gotta wake up so I can turn this freaking song off.
Yeah.
So anyways, like what I was saying, that day I remember I was waking up and like it. I don't know. It's like what you said about anxiety attacks. Your body was telling you to stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that I had asthma, so I was freaking out. Like,
my gosh! I can imagine that's even worse.
Yeah, I was shaking, and I was like, maybe I should just take a shower and see how it works. that didn't work either, and my girlfriend was saying maybe you should call in. So I called in, and yeah, moral of the story is anxiety attacks. They are no bueno.
No, they're not. Not at all. Not at all. It's a scary thing. I imagine asthma has to be just as scary, and then adding the panic attack, because when I used to get them, I used to not be able to breathe. So yeah. I used to think I was getting an asthma attack. So at one point, they gave me I don't know, the purple disc to have as a just in case. But I tried that once, and I was like, oh my gosh, that like burned my chest. I was like, I'm not trying this again.
Ugh, no.
Yeah.
Anywho,
but yeah, no, go for it.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, not at all. I was just gonna finish off saying that it's sometimes I almost feel like one is coming, but now I can kind of detect it. And I know it sounds crazy, but like even in like for example, I would wake up sometimes and I'd wake up straight into one, and I'm like, you just gotta calm down. There's no one here, because literally I just live by myself. So I'm like, who the hell is gonna help me? So I try to like think to myself like, I gotta chill out, I gotta relax, because I can't call anybody, because like mom lives public transportation will take her a half hour to get here. By taxi will be 8 minutes. But if you start thinking like, shit, anything can happen in 8 minutes, that's how I start just like calming myself down. I'm like, just breathe. And that's how I at least lately it's worked out that way.
Yeah, like as corny as it sounds, breathing helps.
Yes.
Breathing, I guess, taking like 10 deep breaths, and then counting backwards from 10. Taking your mind off of whatever is going on right now. That actually does help.
It does.
Anywho, you want to get into some news?
Sure.
What did you want to go over in particular, though? The CM Punk thing, the Randy Orton thing, Ruby Rose thing?
Ruby Rose? That one I didn't hear about. I heard the Randy Orton thing, the Reddit situation, right? I heard about that. I heard about the CM Punk. Actually, I was even reading up on it a little bit, and right before you called me. Because I've heard what I heard on a podcast earlier this morning. I was like, oh, that doesn't. And I was trying to think the logic, the legal standpoint, but then I'm like, that's probably a different state, different laws versus New York, which is completely different.
Yeah, the CM Punk thing. We'll get into the Ruby Rose thing first. As you know, Ruby Rose, she got cast as Batwoman for CW's whole, DC thing. And she had to quit Twitter because she was getting a lot of backlash from people who weren't, too fond of her being cast. And I just find it odd because of the time we're living in. It just seems like you can't please anyone, regardless of who you cast, because the role she's playing is for a superhero that is gay, and she is a gay actress. And you have people that are just chastising, CW for casting her. I think I saw one Twitter where it said, that she was only cast because she was pretty, and someone else referred to her as a gay actress for straight people.
Wow.
So she had to quit Twitter. She's not quitting the role. She's just quitting Twitter. Which I don't blame her, because same thing happened to another actress for that show about Titans.
Okay.
Yeah, she's playing Starfire, and I don't know too much about the character. The only thing I know about the character, according to John Draper from Wrestling Soup, is that she is an alien. She's an alien. So she can literally be any race, any color she wants to be. And people were chastising, the role in the casting choice and, going after her race. So she actually had to disable her Instagram comments because of that. So I want to get your thoughts about, the whole Ruby Rose situation.
Well, see, I don't know much of her, but I want to say the one that I definitely remember, and I think this is the one that a lot of Star Wars fans just went after, was Rose from the last episode that happened. Yeah, that she had to quit both. I think definitely her IG. And I think she was on Twitter, and she also got rid of that too because people were just hating on the fact of what she did, even though that was her character. And they could have picked anybody for that role, but I don't know if it's that people feel that they assimilate the person with a role so much that it's like you can't distinguish, or maybe some people can't distinguish the fact that, hey, you can't hate on this person simply because she played a character that no one likes. It's sort of like how people hate Roman Reigns because, they hate the man aside just hating the wrestlers. It's like, they'll say, screw Roman Reigns, whatever. Yeah, the gimmick is one thing, but the actual man and hating on his personal self, especially like I think at one point he was out with his daughter and he was attacked. That just whole thing makes no sense to me. Like, why is there no distinguish between character and actor? You have so many actors that played many roles that you can't just hate on them. And that goes back to the whole bullying thing, I think. Like, social media these days has given us the, pretty much like the golden keys to access anybody. Whereas, before someone like Tom Cruise could be unreachable and you could just see him like on Top Gun or read about him on magazines. Now it's like you can easily tweet to him or IG him and whatnot. And I don't know why it's we've experienced bullying when we were kids, and it was a different time because the bullying was centered into that area. So like if you were getting bullied in school, once the bell rings at 3:00, you're done. You don't have to deal with it after work, after school. You don't have to deal with it during the weekends. But with social media, it's just like it's a free for all. And I don't know much about Ruby and why they're attacking her. Like I wish I knew more. But just the whole general of it is just not right. You can't attack an actress simply because she's playing a role. It's maybe the fans. I don't know if let's say if it was a comic book series, I could tell you this: when Gal Gadot was, or even Ben Affleck, when they were both casted for their roles for Justice League and for their own movies, people were in an uproar. They were like, "Why is Gal Gadot? She's skinny. I remember this clearly." Like, she's skinny. How is she supposed to be Wonder Woman? Because everybody compared her, to the previous Wonder Woman, which I can't remember her name off the top. And again, it makes no sense. Like, why would people attack an actress or even anyone else by social media?
You kind of hit the nail on the head. With the whole bullying thing, it's just people. At the end of the day, people really don't have anything better to do with their time.
You're right.
They feel that if they have their way, and that's it. It's kind of like with Scarlett Johansson, where she had to quit that movie where she was playing a transgender character.
Yes.
She was playing a woman. I remember that. She was playing a woman becoming a man, and people didn't like that. They wanted an actual transgender character. I mean, a transgender actor or actress play that role. But what it comes down to is you have an A-list actress who apparently she's I'm probably going to get the term wrong. She's a lefty. Mm-hmm. Like, she's all for LGBTQ rights. You have this A-list actress that's going to play this role. You see, and it's going to bring new eyes and ears to the product.
Right.
It's kind of like with Jared Leto when he did Dallas Buyers Club and played that transgender role, won an Oscar for it. You had people that weren't too familiar with this topic or the story itself. They came in the theaters or bought the movie and watched it and were enlightened by it because you had an A-list actor in Jared Leto playing this role. You had a known actor. In this case, You had a known actress. She's in freaking Marvel. She's banking on Marvel. And you're going to bring in, possibly Marvel fans to watch this movie and are going to look at things the way they never looked at it before. And now she had to quit it, and the director who put all this time and money to bring this project to life had to actually scrap it. And the way I see it, if they would have, cast an actual transgender actor or actress, the movie wouldn't have even done as well as, say if they had kept, Scarlett Johansson on the role.
Right, because she's a household name.
So I mean that's the one thing they fail to understand is that at the end of the day, big names, bring people into the stadium, like it's like with wrestling. People want to see Finn Balor as the top guy, but at the end of the day, people actually do like Roman Reigns. There are actually some people out there that like Roman Reigns. As shocking as that sounds, he does sell merch. You do see little kids, wear his goofy little, gun hand thingy, whatever you call it. So, at the end of the day, big names bring asses in seats.
You're right. I think it's almost a two-way street because yes, you have someone named like you have someone like Scarlett Johansson, and she can definitely bring eyes and sponsors and whatnot. Like you said, she brings bodies into wherever it is that whatever she's producing, whether she's doing a movie or whether she's doing a charity event or whatnot. But then on the second hand, you have people like I'm trying to remember what was the event where they were remember the Mae Young Classic, and not the Mae Young Classic, but when they were saying that they named one of the pay-per-views Mae Young, and uproar.
Do you mean
right?
Are you talking about the
Moolah? No, you're Moolah, not Mae Young. I'm thinking the wrong one. Yeah. Yes, when they were naming it Moolah and they announced it and whatnot, and everyone went on a uproar that you even had Snickers like threatening to pull out as a sponsor. So yes, even though you can have a famous actress that can definitely bring things, bring money to the table, bring bodies to where there has to be. On the second hand, if the uproar of, let's say, of the community is so big that it's like their people are going to end up losing money, even if they have Scarlett Johansson on it, then it's like, they're going to unfortunately have to scrap the project. You're right. If on the good side of it, you do want to have, it would bring eyes to a product that no one would have seen. And but it's, I don't know, these days with the way Twitter is and it's being used as a marketing tool. So if they see that it's a lot of it is trending, a lot of it is negative feed, they'll pull out easily because they don't want to lose money over anything.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, unfortunately, there's, those companies that, aren't as loyal as, say, like AMC. Where AMC gave, Chris Hardwick his job back, and, he made that, video where he seemed genuinely, hurt that... Well, I wouldn't say hurt. He just seemed like a lot of this was, very overwhelming for him. And that he still had people on his side. We can get into Chris Hardwick a little later. But,
sure.
Or, like kind of like with James Gunn, where, I actually know why someone decided to pull up those random 10 years ago tweets. Because I know he's like one of those many celebrities that's against Trump.
Right,
and
of course.
I just remember seeing him, just bashing Trump, which, I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to Trump. I see and hear he does good things, but then something else will happen where I'm just like, I'm not sure what to think, so I'm just going to, do my own thing and kind of stay away from it. So, but I don't judge people who are against Trump or with Trump. But, I just remember, he would always make Trump, tweets, and I think someone pretty much said, oh, you think you're perfect, or something along the lines of that, so they decided to pull up past tweets. So, which, again, another one of those things, people have way too much time on their hands, where they decide to go all the way back to whenever and just find a random tweet that seems offensive and decide to post it. So, I don't know. I mean, I can't really judge companies for having to do what they have to do so they can avoid negative publicity. But at the end of the day, I think you should be loyal and stick by your guys. kind of like with Disney. It wasn't a Marvel decision; it was Disney. Disney, they're wholesome, family-friendly company, so I can understand that. But I don't know. I just don't think they should have fired the guy.
Well, talking about the AMC Talking Dead, yeah, that was a shock.
Yeah.
And it just went, and I think I tweeted it out. To me, it just proved the fact that here you have someone that's trying to use a movement that's supposed to be for victims, and they're trying to use it for their advantage. And who knows? I mean, did we find out exactly what the agenda was of this ex-girlfriend to put him down? Because, when he was, let's not say a nobody, but when he wasn't popular and before the Talking Dead came out, we didn't hear about this guy, and we didn't hear about this girl going after him or anything like that. And even if you want to take it a year ago, maybe even further when the movement was just at its earliest, again, he wasn't one of the names that was named. It's really horrible. And you're right. AMC did a great job at being able to stick by him and giving him a chance before they just, blew the whistle and just were like, well, you're done. But then again, it's like he's a face of one of the popular shows, because Talking Dead is the one thing that everybody tunes in as soon as Walking Dead is over. Yeah.
Where the whole thing started, I mean, the agenda, not he, but TMZ released, I guess, his text messages from like 4 years ago, where he tweeted like almost like a friggin' book of his response to his ex, where it was revealed that apparently she cheated on him. And it was with a guy that he worked with. And that, he kind of knew about it the whole time, but he was trying to make it work. But he pretty much put his foot down and said, enough is enough.
Right.
And, it seemed like a very heartfelt, well thought text. Mm-hmm. And then she replies with, oh, just give me another chance, let's work it out. And she keeps, texting him on the same day. And then, like, maybe 3 months later, he gets another text from her saying, hey, I miss you, blah, 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 let's make it work. He didn't reply.
Right.
So, it's like you said, and I've been saying the same thing, too. It seems like a lot of these women, I'm not saying all of them do it, I'm just saying women like Chloe Dykstra, they're taking something that's supposed to weed out the actual, creeps and, douchebags like Harvey Weinstein, which it did. But instead, they're seeing it as, how can this benefit me? How can this make me put out my agenda?
Right.
And a poor guy like Chris Hardwick, I'm a fan of his. I've always been a fan of his. He almost had his life ruined because of it, and now he still kind of is because Talking Dead is not going to be live anymore. It's going to be recorded.
Wow, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's going to be recorded because, AMC doesn't want to have one of those live shows where you have people maybe running up or saying something, because, apparently Kathy Griffin, called foul on it when she heard about it, and, Chloe Dykstra put out some kind of cheesy, oh, I'm outside and butterflies and blah, blah, blah. And, hello?
I'm here.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, my computer just did something weird. Anyways, yeah, she put out some weird, I guess, tweet where she's like, oh, I'm okay with today and butterflies and blah, blah, blah. And Kathy Griffin replied saying, oh, don't worry, honey, they're just too scared to say anything about Chris. Which, okay, Chris Hardwick's famous and he has like 8 million jobs. But is he really that powerful?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, because Harvey Weinstein was powerful. That I understood. That when women or, just people in general started finally coming out and going after him, that I understood because he was very powerful. Same thing with Bill Cosby. But with Chris Hardwick, I don't see
him. I don't see him as powerful.
Because I have a Mish on my Facebook, his like actual Facebook, and I think he was one of the first people that posted about the Chris Hardwick thing. And my immediate response is, I don't see it. Like with Chris Hardwick, I don't see it. It sounds too good to be true.
But in this situation, we're talking about tweets. Tweets. I keep saying that. from Texas from what, years ago when because isn't the guy married at this point?
Yeah, he is a wife.
Yeah. Yeah, he's married and whatnot. And then for her to come off or whatever, these texts to be revealed, it had to happen, A, from her camp. And B, it's like, what is she gaining from this? It's like, so you have a bitter life, you regret cheating on your ex, and you feel the need that in order to make yourself better, you want to go ahead and take revenge on him because you see him on TV and he's gaining popularity. He's a cool guy. He's married. He has his own family now. And you are just hateful and hate your life so much that you need to, on top of the fact that you cheated, you want to go ahead and ruin his life too. Like, that's just an evil, vindictive person. I can't stand people like that. Just recognize that you fucked up and move on. If anything, yeah, he didn't want to deal with you because you cheated. Period. Point blank. Your loss. That's it. And like he said, especially if he tried to make it work, and it says so in the text messages, then at least be respectful that you were even given a chance. Because a lot of people are just like, deuces. I'm not dealing with you. Hate you for life and whatnot. But if a person still, that's to me, that speaks a lot about his character. The fact that he was able to, put his own feelings aside to be able to make it work. And I mean feelings like as far as feeling, emasculated, feeling embarrassed because now his friends know that she cheated and he's still with her. And I'm sure family and friends and coworkers and everybody were like, well, what are you still doing with her? Because, it's not good. And he put everybody to the side just to give this person a chance. And this is the repayment that he gets? Like, no, that's just wrong.
I don't know. So far, 2018 is just, it seems like the last 3 or 4 years, they've all had a different, story to them. 2016 was the year of, every actor, every person that you love and care about is all going to die, mainly actors. 2017 was kind of the beginning of the Me Too movement.
Right.
And then 2018 has become, let's just condemn everyone for everything that they've ever done, ever. So, kind of like...
especially if it's a male.
Oh, especially if it's a male. Because God help you if you go after a female.
Right. Because it's not like... And Kev said it in the show a couple times ago. There is such thing as women sexually assaulting men. Or sexually harassing men. Especially women of power and whatnot. And it's like, but then if a guy comes out and tries to Me Too it, saying, hey, I had a boss that, was, let's say, VP or whatnot, and she came on to me and had me, and we had to do, or I felt that I had to do these things, these sexual favors in order to keep my job because my family was depending. If a guy comes out with that, it would just be, unfortunately, I feel like he would just be obliterated. Because I don't want to call them femmes, but the people that are so behind, this being the women's era and this being empowerment for women and whatnot, would see someone like that, even though he's a true victim. And I feel like, it just would be a shutdown. I'm like, who are you and why are you trying to bring down a woman? Even though, like, in other words, it's like he'll automatically be guilty without being proven innocent from it. It's like the woman automatically would be like, oh, why is he attacking his boss? Is it because she's a female and whatnot? Even before anything's proven that it's true.
Yeah, it's always kind of been, the thought process, with, both genders. It's, it's like, oh, you're a man and you're sexually harassed by a woman. You totally wanted it.
Right.
It's kind of similar to like Mary, the whole Mary Kay Letourneau thing, where she, this is kind of going back in the time machine for a lot of the younger listeners. Mary Kay Letourneau was a teacher that had a sexual relationship with one of her students who was like 13 or 14 at the time.
Yeah, I think it was 13. You're right.
And, I was watching, like, a thing about it, I think, like, on E! Or something, and, one of the, one of the DAs said, would overhear cops saying, "Oh, I wish that was my teacher back in the day." So, of course it's going to be, the male thought process.
Right.
But, and again, I'm not trying to compare. I'm not saying, one is right and one is wrong, or one is worse than the other, but, if you hear about a female student, being raped by a male teacher, that's going to be a worse story to hear.
Oh, absolutely.
Or, for all we know, maybe that female student came on to the teacher. So, again, there's always going to be two sides to every story. You can't, I'm one of those people, and I think John Draper said it best, just because somebody said it happened doesn't mean it really did happen.
Absolutely.
Like, I want to kind of get to the truth first, because, it's like going back to Chris Hardwick, just because, because Chloe Dexter, she put out, like, some essay on some website where she said, Chris did this, and that to me. I'm reading this, I'm like, this sounds too good to be true, though. I can't really, I need to actually have physical proof. And then come to find out she was full of shit. Of course. She has gained nothing from it, because she's nowhere. She's not marching on Capitol Hill. She's not marching for women's rights. She just did this for her own agenda, whatever it was. And whatever it was, it didn't work, because she's nowhere to be found.
Right. But that's what usually happens. The same thing with the Enzo situation. It turns out that it was a consensual thing, and she claimed that he basically assaulted her and he raped her and whatnot. And look at him. And granted, we already knew he had issues backstage, so that was probably another thing that just kind of was like another reason for him to be booted.
They were just looking for a reason to fire him, pretty much.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. But even then, it's just like, it was like an immediate action. And it wasn't even sort of like, is this for real? It was more so the excuse of, well, you knew of this, that this was potentially happening, and, your talent, you're not supposed to hide stuff like us, like this from us, and boom, done. Like you said, as an excuse. But it's like, how many people were not, oh yeah, I can't believe he did that to her, and siding with her. And then I'm like, no, go to her profile. Because her profile is $50 for you to see her naked on Snap. And after it was proven that he was not guilty of this, she disappeared from all social media.
Yeah, because her friend pretty much exposed her. Yeah. And then she's on YouTube just being a freaking nut. And and I'm just like, I wasn't an Enzo fan at all, but he shouldn't have gotten fired or suspended. I mean, suspending, okay, I guess that's reasonable, but fired, at the end of the day, the guy lost his job, and recently he came out and they asked him if he ever wants to wrestle again, and he said, no, not in a million years. So, the WWE, this kind of segues into our next topic, Randy Orton.
Yes, I heard of this.
Yeah, I remember reading about that and just going, why does this sound like the most Randy Orton thing to ever happen? Oh my god. Court Bauer, who used to be a former WWE writer, told a story about Randy Orton showing his dick to new writers, touching it, and asking him to shake his hand. Court Bauer said the following: for every new writer that would show up, he came into the room, put his hand down his pants, pull out his dick, touch himself, and then say, I'm Randy Orton, shake my hand. Oh, you don't want to shake my hand? You're big leaguing me? That's fucking up, man. Should I tell Vince and Steph you don't want to shake Randy Orton's hand? The writers will all start sweating and backamping in the corner. The guy's dick is still hanging out, and it would be they're cutting a promo on a guy with his dick hanging out for like 5 minutes. Court goes on to say Orton was very intense, so you could never tell if he was fucking with you or if he was really hot. Court says he was lucky. Randy did it to him on his first day. He was with the company at TV, and just as he was about to pull his dick out, Stephanie walked in, and that shit went right back into his pants. Court describes it as a teacher entering the classroom. When asked if he was about to shake his hand, Court says, I don't know, I'm a bit of a germaphobe. Court says this was something Orton did during Court's entire time at the WWE, and he's surprised that Orton didn't get hit with a sexual harassment lawsuit. And the news is that WWE is supposedly looking into it. Your thoughts?
I heard this morning, and I was like, what? Did that really happen? Why did no one ever speak up about it? And granted, it was, I believe this is from 2005. So yeah, things were a little bit different back then. Definitely because no one had a movement like the Me Too going on. But even so, I think, I guess it would depend. First of all, I would imagine you'd have to be somewhat insane to actually go into a room with people and just whip out your dick and touch yourself and be like, here, shake my hand, it's me. It's just, it almost seems like, to me, it's almost hard to believe, that Randy would actually go ahead and do that, unless it was like that everybody was his friend and maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like how guys can, joke around and be silly, sort of like an American Pie situation. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, oh, everybody's cool, let's fuck with the new guy.
Wasn't Randy like notoriously known for like hazing people or just fucking with other people? Because didn't one diva say he like would harass her or like shit in her bag or do something to her?
See, that I had to look into because I don't remember that one. But I mean, if you take a look even at his early performances when he just started the company, he looked like he could be a jokester. Like versus this more serious persona he's got going on. And then again, he's also married. So, I mean, I don't know. The only way I can think of that this would have been okay in everybody's eyes is if everybody there was in on it and they were like, let's just fuck with the new guy. And it'd be sort of like that movie Waiting, where you remember, where it's like, and that was I think about maybe around that time. And it was just like everybody showing their dick and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, that would not fly these days. I think someone would claim sexual harassment and be completely offended. But that's the only thing I can think of. And then again, it's like, why conveniently it just so happened that Stephanie was walking into the room when he was in the room and nothing happened to him. And where's everybody else? Why hasn't everybody else, confirm this story and say, hey, I was there, I saw this happen, or this happened also to me. Like, where are all these writers? Because you're not going to tell me that these writers still are working at WWE with all the with all the turnaround that they have with with writers in general. It's like, who's collaborating the story? Corroborating the story?
Well, this is also a time where it wasn't just Randy. You would hear stories about like JBL or Hardcore Holly or whomever, they were like notoriously known for hazing, a lot of the young guys like JBL got let go because of that, because he and this is actually before the whole Me Too movement. He got released because he was picking on Morrow apparently. And there were stories that were kind of similar to Orton where he would actually like go into showers with other wrestlers and like kind of press himself up against the other wrestlers. So I don't know if to fuck them or fuck with them. I'm not too sure which one is which. Benoit would, do some pretty crazy stuff to other rookies. He almost gave Miz a heart attack by throwing him out of the dressing room. Hardcore Holly would beat up other rookies. What were you going to say?
No, I was like, but we know what happened with Benoit. So he was a little bit, he was off. Completely off.
Wait, what happened to Benoit? I'm playing.
I'm saying.
Bad joke.
Yeah, that's how I was like, if that really happened with the Benoit situation, nothing surprises me after what, the outcome ended up being. So, yeah, that I 100% would believe.
But but with Randy Orton, he's kind of has a past. It's funny, the whole story about his dick comes up because I was actually, when I was like getting ready to go home with my dad, I was actually reading something on my phone where he was talking about John Cena, where he said, working with John Cena, OVW, John Cena's like, he doesn't sell anything. Like, if you do the most crazy thing to him, he won't sell it. He said you can literally pull out your dick and put it on his shoulder, and he'll just look at it and just look the other way. And he's like, and I actually did that before. And I'm like, what's with Randy Orton and showing other people his dick? Like, does he have like a personality complex? Does he just want people to see how Viper looking it is? I don't fucking know. So it's just an odd story. And
it is, and you know what the crazy thing is that if this was happening right now, or if this happened a year ago, okay, fine, you know, it's news. But the fact that this happened back in '05, and it's been what 10, 12 years later, and this is just coming up right now, that to me is a little odd. It's so like, why are you trying to dig up dirt now, 12, 13 years later, when the guy has a family, and it's now. I don't know.
So do you see because apparently the company's looking into it, do you see them doing anything about it?
You know, Randy has been one of the wrestlers that's been there for such a long time. And he's actually been good about it too. He works a full-time schedule. So do I see him being reprimanded for past actions? I think they could have easily gotten rid of him with so many, you know, he's gotten in so much trouble between that one fan that when he was at the gym that wanted the selfie, and he just like, you know, like fist pumped him and whatnot, and then he continued. That could have been disciplinary action on that. The fact that he was caught, I think with, what was it? Was weed in his system? That could have been another one. Like, it's so many, and he's not, you know, they have not gotten rid of him. So, I don't know, I mean.
Well, those are kind of different. The weed thing I remember, because I remember around that time, that's when Van Dam got caught with weed, and they had to take the title off of him. And then Orton gets caught with weed, and they didn't do anything to him. Exactly. So, and the whole fist pump thing, that was kind of a nothing burger. Like that, you know, what was the whole situation like? You know, a fan wanted a selfie, and he just kind of went, you know, hey, I'm working out.
So the thing was, and I saw the video, so basically, Orton's in the middle of his own workout. The kid, I don't know what the hell he was doing. I don't know if he was trying to train or if he's just, you know, to me, like someone that has the time to try to take selfies and bullshit around the gym is not really working out. It's just, you're just there just to bother people. And, you know, like, Orton acknowledges the guy, like I think he was like, "What's up, Randy?" Orton, and you know, Randy either, I can't remember if it's like that he like, you know, gives him like the fist, like, you know, like guys do, like, you know, they, whatever, and or if it was like hey, what's up, you know, at a distance, and he continued. I feel like it was like that he, you know, acknowledged him and said hello. But the kid was just like, went off on a rail because he was just kept on saying, "Oh, he ignored me." And I remember talking about this last year, and I was like, dude, if you're at the gym, you're at the gym to work out. And it doesn't matter if Hulk Hogan is next to you. It doesn't matter if, you know, anyone, fucking Trump is next to you. I do not care. If I'm focused on my workout, I don't care who's next to me. I'll say hi, be cordial, and I'll continue working out. And that's what everybody's mentality should be. But anyway, going back to the whole whether I see them doing something. Honestly, with this whole Me Too movement and with WWE really trying to push the women's evolution going on, if this really did happen, I can see them doing something. Simply because they don't want, I mean, just think of it this way. If people reacted so crazily over Moolah being part of the pay-per-view, not part, but like named after her, imagine how something like this can just explode on the guy side, especially because, yeah, you have the women's division, sure, and you're trying to push it. And even when they did their, when they were trying to sell to the marketers, and I saw the whole up front, they didn't even mention, you know, oh, you know, we have new Raw, new SmackDowns, we have all this programming. But the guys, none of the male wrestlers were featured when they were pretty much presenting themselves for this year. It was simply Charlotte, Ronda Rousey, and Nia Jax, and Stephanie McMahon pushing on the women's movement. So for this to come out with them trying to do all this stuff with the women's movement, yeah, it's not going to look good. I don't think at all. Well, and then when it comes to that story, I think being that it's him and being that it's been 12 years ago, I think they'll look into it, like they said, just to make sure that they cover their bases in case they get sued. That's what I take as we're looking into it. Let's cover our bases, make sure that this isn't true so we don't get sued. And And then again, with the guy that said this, it's like, I think it's the whole thing is someone went off and took this guy's podcast and what he said, and they just put it publicly this weekend. No, he might be pushed in the back burner and they'll try to cover themselves as far as financially, but it's stuff that happened many years ago. I mean, think about it this way. If movies like Waiting was not offensive at the time that it came out, and
yeah.
Like I was watching it the other day, I was like, this shit would not fly. Even American Pie. Like American Pie, I think I believe the last one was a little bit more watered down compared to the first one. And again, that was back in the time when he was doing supposedly what he was doing. Yeah, it's a different time.
How do you think a movie, like if they rebooted a movie like Waiting, how do you think they would change everything? Like what kind of changes would they make?
You know what? I don't even know if they'll ever be able to reboot that, because it's, that was one of the funny scenes, when they were trying to catch each other. And I don't know. I mean, and then again, to reboot Waiting it's basically getting rid of Ryan Reynolds, and he's such a big actor right now and funny and whatnot.
It just seems like it's like with like not just reboots, but like if you're doing another superhero movie, it's like instead of casting someone who's actually comically accurate for the role, let's cast someone like, because apparently they're doing a Birds of Prey movie. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
No.
Birds of Prey, that was a series that would, have like different groups, mainly with like Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Batgirl, I just forgot her name. Black Canary. And the talk is that they want to make Black Canary biracial. Which, again, it's one of those things where if you say it, people are going to think you're a racist. I don't have a problem with them recasting, white roles with other races. I don't. I'm on the mindset of as long as it works, I'm fine. But it just seems like a lot of studios, they do it just to do it. It's like with Star Wars, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan though. My girlfriend, she's the Star Wars nut. Me, I'm kind of partial to it. They want to do a Lando Calrissian movie, and they want to make him asexual. Which, I'm like, why? Why do you need to make him asexual?
Right.
If you're gonna do it, have a reason. Like, have it make sense. Have it fit with the story. Don't just do it because you want to further your agenda and please, the masses.
That's true.
So, yeah, with Randy Orton, I don't see anything happening because he's actually he's a part-timer. He has a family. He's been in the company for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
Him and Cena, Brock. Him and Cena have been in the company for, I think, the same amount of time. So I don't see them doing anything at this point. If they do, Randy's got money.
And plus, we're talking about 12 years ago, and from someone who, and that's why I was asking you. It's so funny that he says that everybody got, introduced to Randy, by introduced to Randy that in that way, yet he lucked out because Stephanie came in the room. I find that odd.
So is that why he calls himself the Viper, because he can't call himself the Penis?
I don't know. I don't think that's why. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. If he really did that, I would take it as, he's acting like an American Pie / Waiting / Al Bundy had his hands down his pants and everybody was fine with it, and it was such a good series and it went on for years. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know if there was some kind of if I guess it all comes down to the intent. What was really the intent behind him doing it? Is it just to, to basically fuck with the new guy? Like all these, like it's shown on all these movies, or if it's something like he was really sick and demented and he just has a problem with, being social, that he feels that in order to empower himself and be able to have the courage to say hi to someone, he would do it. It's just hard to believe that way. Like, I take it more as if, he's just, he's just joshing with the new guy and that's it. But I don't know. Or who's to say? Because then again, like I told you, when someone comes out, usually you have 2, 3, 4, 5 other people that want to rock that same boat and want to cash in. And where is everybody else trying to cash in on this?
It just, it does sound kind of fishy. I guess it's either A, people don't want to like rat or seem like they're a rat because information seems to kind of seep faster. So, because I've been at jobs, not that I've seen a guy pull his thing out and ask me to shake his hand. I'm not saying that happened, but I'm saying I've been at jobs where I've seen some pretty shady stuff happen, and people just stand there and act like nothing is going on. They just being nonchalant about it, and the mindset is, if you tell, you'll be a rat and nobody will respect you and you'll get beaten up or whatever. And information seems to kind of travel fast. So I don't know, it's a big company, so maybe that was the mindset of a lot of people. Or, like you said, why are people now just wanting to cash in on this?
Right, but and the thing of it is, it's not even the guy that voiced it. It's some other guy that basically, from my understanding, is that this was being talked about on Reddit, not by the actual guy who got, who escaped being introduced to Randy that way, but by some other person that just came up with it and was like, just like you said, has no life. On a Saturday, just decided to just talk about the situation from like 12 years ago. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the time we're living in, people, are just now going, maybe I should bring up something that happened 12 years ago. Now.
Well, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Even Kevin Spacey got, he got banned from House of Cards, and that was for something that happened, 20 years ago? So I guess there's no time limit when it comes to stuff.
What's your whole view on the whole Kevin Spacey thing?
I think they shouldn't have canceled the actual show. I think it should have been recasted if they felt the need that this was... If they felt that they were going to lose, let's say money or sponsors, then to me, I would say they should have recasted the role as someone else, another, headliner, and just have the show continue. Because what people don't realize, and I've had arguments about this on Twitter, is you are in a production. I work in production, so I know. You have a set crew. Sometimes people can get jobs relatively quickly in the production world if you're a freelancer. Sometimes it could take 6 months to 8 months. You get the dry spell seasons. And, this was a job. This was pretty much a gig that was putting bread at the table of every person that was on crew, both on the administrative side, for the producers, for everybody that was, cameramen, electricians, etc. And, and to cancel the show, it's like you just basically got rid of every single person that had a steady job for so many seasons. Simply because, your main character, your main actor was accused of what he did a couple years ago, or about 20 years ago. So yeah, to me, when I hear a show like that being canceled, it's heartbreaking to me for the crew itself, simply because I live in that situation in the production world as it is, and I've been in production for the past 17, 18 years. So I see shows being canceled. I see shows continuing. I see what it does to people. I see how, some freelancers, if a show is a short gig, they'll collect their unemployment right as soon as the show is ended, and they'll get another job the next day and they'll go back and collect unemployment the following week. It's a tough world to live in, and to have the crew suffer because of the actions of their main character is just sad. That's what I felt like.
So for the show, like, what do they do? Do they like just write him out, or do they kill him off?
No, I don't even know what happened. I don't even know if they finished the season. I thought that it was immediately plugged out of Netflix altogether.
Because I believe that they... I'm not sure what they did with Kevin Spacey's characters. I never watched the show. I never got into the show. I maybe watched like
I heard
one or
it
two
was
episodes.
good, but I never got into it, yeah.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. What I heard was that they made Robin Wright Penn's character the president.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard. But, again, I never watched the show, so I'm not sure.
I heard that... I didn't even know that was even an option. I heard immediately that Netflix was pulling it. They canceled it, and I didn't even know that they were going to finish the season. It's sort of like how Roseanne happened, that they immediately shut down production and pulled all seasons past and whatnot from everywhere. So I think that's what happened with Kevin Spacey's situation, in which as soon as his name was mentioned, they did not hesitate and they pulled the plug on that show.
Yeah, going into Roseanne. Yeah, they're actually doing a what's it called, a spinoff of her show about the daughter, where it's basically gonna have everybody in the show except for Roseanne. It's gonna have
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's gonna have John Goodman's character. It's gonna have the other characters, but not Roseanne. So, I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but
they'll probably kill her off. They can't call her Roseanne if Roseanne isn't there, so I don't know what they'll call it. And actually, Kev Castle gave a great example. It's like when I can't remember that actress's name. When she left the show and then it became the Hogan family, and actually that one was even more successful than the original show. And that show was named after her, but I can't remember her name off the top.
The Hogan family?
The Hogan family. Well, yeah, I'm dating myself. I'm talking about what, early 90s, maybe late 80s.
Yeah, I'm a fan of 80s, 90s show.
Yeah, the Hogan family had Jason Bateman in it.
Oh, okay, I see it right now. Yeah, Valerie.
Yes. So the show was originally named after her, and then I think she protested some shit. I forgot what it was exactly. And, she assumed that the show wasn't going to go on because of her, because she was, she leaves, she figured everything was going to shut down. Instead, they were like, fine. They write her off, and I think on the show was that she died or something like that, and the aunt took over and I think it was the aunt took over, and she was helping the father raise the kids. It was a good show, actually.
Yeah, I remember my girl. She mentioned that before. Jason Bateman. He still looks exactly the same.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does. Him and Paul Rudd and Downey, they all have that same. We're all going to look the same that we did when we were in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So
they don't age.
Oh no! Freaking you watch Clueless, and you see Ant-Man, and it's like nothing changed with Paul Rudd. And Downey.
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of have a man crush on Paul Rudd.
So I take it you saw Ant-Man 2.
Oh, I certainly did. Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I was just pissed off. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. I was just pissed off about the end.
Oh, you could spoil it. It's been out for a month. Go ahead.
You think so?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I am a huge Michelle Pfeiffer fan. So when I saw that it was Michelle Pfeiffer that was the mother, I was like, oh my God, she's stuck in quantum. Oh, we need to get her out. And then it was like, they kind of led you believe that they're going to try it, but then they don't know if she's still alive or whatnot. So when they actually pulled her out, I was like, oh my God, yay, she's back and whatnot. And then not even the next scene, it's like everybody's been obliterated because of freaking Thanos. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
and
that I saw coming. I didn't want to see it coming because the whole movie was so lighthearted. Yeah. And then when it got to that scene, when he's in the quantum realm and he starts counting down, I'm like, oh, it's going to happen. And then it goes to the to the outside world where it just shows everybody in dust. So I'm like, what the? And then some idiots behind me, dude, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, you are get the fuck out of this theater.
Well, you would hate me because I'm like, what the hell happened? It literally took my boyfriend's brother to be like, Thanos. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. That happens too. I was like, oh God. So yeah, I was one of those that I was like, what the hell just happened?
You didn't see Infinity War?
No, I did. But I didn't, the thing is, I didn't realize that there were, I completely forgot that they were connecting everything so that it would make sense how, Infinity War happened and then this happened and whatnot. And I'm like, forgot about that.
No, at least you saw it. These guys apparently did not see Infinity War.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah. And I'm just like, dude, get out of this theater, like, right now. So, yeah, Ant-Man I loved. What else? What else came out? Over the weekend, or on Saturday, I saw Slender Man.
Which one?
Slender Man?
How was that? I didn't see that one. I saw the Meg.
I'm just glad I only paid 41 cents for it.
Oh, wow.
Because there's a theater by where we work, and it's like the tickets are really cheap because mainly a lot of families go, and I have like an account with them. The company's called Santikos, and
okay.
I have a Santikos loyalty card, and like basically like however many movies that you like however many movie tickets that you get or whatever, it'll give you points, and those points add up into dollars. So the ticket I bought was for $5.41, and I had $5 on my points. And the guy was like, "Do you want to use your $5 today?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I spent $41 on 41 cents on the tickets, and I spent $15 for snacks. So go figure. So I'm sitting there. I'm just watching this movie. I'm like, the only saving grace about the movie was like the sound, and that's it.
Wow.
It's very predictable. It's just, it was not very good.
See, I went to see two movies. I went to see The Meg, and I went to see Christopher Robin.
How was The Meg?
The Meg was actually really good. I'd see it again.
Yeah, because me and my girlfriend, like, we really want to see it because we're like, that movie looks like it's going to be so cheesy and bad, but we want to see it.
No, it's actually pretty good. I was expecting it to be like one of those regular CGI films that it's going to be like, oh, it's another, like a Sharknado. I was expecting, the worst, and I was like, see, this is pretty good. So, you should check it out.
Oh, no, we need to check that out, and we need to check, we desperately need to see Mission Impossible.
Oh, Fallout, yes. I saw it on premiere night. It's really good, too. Especially because he does his own stunts.
Yeah, I was saying about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, like, in any action movie he does, he always does his own stunts. Imagine, because, like, the rumor is that he apparently is in line to be Green Lantern.
Really?
Yeah, for DC, because DC, DC's with Warner Brothers, and I believe Mission Impossible was with Warner Brothers.
I thought, no, Mission was with Paramount.
Oh, okay, never mind. But, what's it called? DC's, they're trying to get the director of Mission Impossible to direct Green Lantern, and the rumor is that Tom Cruise is in line to be Green Lantern. I'm like, imagine him trying to do his own stunts for that.
That would be epic. Like,
he'd be in space, like, hey, I'm gonna jump out of this spaceship. Go ahead, Tom. Fuck. But, that we need to see. Christopher Robin, how was that?
Let's just say I cried. I cried twice. I got no shame in saying I cried.
Hey, I cry at a lot of shit.
I've not cried since the Titanic.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is so sad. Because then you related with what really happened. But then with Christopher Robin, I was like, oh, gosh. I can't say it. Because if I say it, I'll give something away. And I was like, God, just no. I was like, this is so sad. Poor Pooh.
Poor Pooh.
Poor Pooh.
So So what's like the saddest movie you've ever seen?
Oh my gosh. The saddest movies I've ever seen. I can't think of anyone off the top, but the ones that made me cry definitely was Titanic, and then this one wasn't sad at all. It's just that certain scenes were just so sad that I just cried for. But can't think of anything off the top.
I cried after Titanic, and there were more so of tears of joy when the movie was over. Okay, Titanic was a good movie. The one thing that ruins it for me is Celine Dion.
Really? Is it because they overplayed the My Heart Will Go On?
I just hate that. That's the kind of song I hear it, and it just makes me violent.
I think it's because it was so played out.
It's kind of like Frozen with the Let It Go song. Like
oh my god, I can't stand that.
Oh yeah, like the movie is okay. You know, it's a lot of people hyped it up, and I watched it. I was like, it's okay. Yeah. I bought a DVD Blu-ray of Frozen. I'm a 29-year-old man. I can watch what I want. But
I still refuse to watch it.
Yeah, it's okay. There's a lot of songs in it, and I don't have a problem with it because it's Disney. Of course, there's gonna be songs.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of those movies that kind of has unnecessary songs. Where at the beginning they have a song, it's like, why did they need a song? And then the snowman decides to sing. I'm like, why did the snowman need to sing? And then the whole Frozen, Let It Go thing comes on. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of played out.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting into topics about Disney songs, because we kind of talked about it a little bit last week.
Uh-huh.
But you said I Want to Be Like You from Jungle Book was your favorite?
From that, no. I Want to Be Like You is my favorite from the Jungle Book. Because they were naming, I forgot what was the song that they were, because they said that the list said, I think number 2 was Bare Necessities, and I Want to Be Like You was like number 4 or number 5. And I was like, absolutely not. If anything, the I Want to Be Like You should have been 2 and Bare Necessities a little bit further on, simply because, it has more of a pop. It's swing. You can easily sing it. Heck, and like I told you, even Baloo was right after that. Was like Baloo said, "Take me home, Daddy." Like that's how he got into that song. So I was like, so if Baloo himself got into "I Want to Be Like You," why would Bare Necessities be before that? I don't know.
Yeah, I was. We were both rating those lists. Like one was for songs, one was for movies. And for the movies, there are a lot of good Disney movies that are left out. I think, what's it called? Zootopia was left out, and Zootopia I think won an Oscar for best.
Zootopia was a good movie, yeah.
Zootopia was good because I think it was actually one of the first Disney movies to kind of like deal with like real shit. Like it dealt with the
DMV,
like DMV. that scene sold me on the movie. I'm like, I have to see this.
Yeah.
But it dealt with the DMV. It dealt with like real life issues like race, where the kind animals were representing white people, and the quote unquote violent animals representing minorities, and how the cuddly creatures were afraid of the violent animals when a lot of them weren't even that bad. They left out Zootopia. I think they left out Emperor's New Groove. And that's my all-time favorite.
Really?
Of all the Disney movies, that's my all-time favorite.
See, mine would be The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, you and my girlfriend both.
Yay! That's right, we did talk about it. That's why I said your girlfriend's awesome.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I like The Little Mermaid. I'll kind of hum the Part of Your World every now and then.
Are you because I've heard of this. Do you think that she was stupid in having to sign off on the contract without reading it?
Without reading it?
Yes. Because see, there's some Disney fans that hate on Ariel because they think she was stupid. I don't think so.
I don't think she was stupid. I just think, again, wasn't she supposed to be like 14 years old in the movie?
16, actually.
Yeah, she was 16, and all she wanted to do was just be a human and be with Eric. So I don't think she was stupid. I just think she did what any other teenage girl would have done that was a mermaid and that wanted to have feet.
Yeah.
So I don't think she was stupid. Yeah, I don't think she was stupid. I don't see where a lot of these like theories where people kind of look way too much into the movie come from.
Yeah.
Did you think she was stupid?
No, I love it. I was having this discussion with my boyfriend and his sister because they seem to think, well, she was stupid because she didn't read the contract. I'm like, no, she knew the terms of the contract. It just so happens that certain things were left out. Like, for instance, the after she got her legs, had Flounder and Sebastian not been there, she would have probably been dead right there.
That was actually the the Hans what was it, the Hans Christian Andersen book?
It was based off of that, but not the actual ending. Like, you know, they took it for what it was, and then they switched it around and made the nice Disney version.
No, that's what I meant. Like, the actual ending is that she dies. I think. Like,
she becomes sea foam. Mm-hmm.
I think she killed. I thought she killed herself or something like that.
No, I don't think she killed herself. I think it's that something happens and then she becomes sea foam.
Ugh.
Yeah, but in the book, it's her having her legs was just it was very painful for her to have those legs.
I first started hearing about how a lot of the Disney movies were, fake. The first one I heard about was what's it called? Hercules, where because I took a mythology class in high school, and and my teacher was like, yeah, the whole happy family thing, it didn't really happen. Zeus was kind of a piece of shit. He cheated on a mortal woman, have Hercules, and Hercules, Zeus's wife, was pretty much trying to Hera was trying to kill Hercules his whole life, and then I think they said Hercules there was a story about Hercules, like he killed somebody. I'm forgetting who. But
I thought it was that she killed his family or something like that out of spite, or something like that.
Possibly, kind of. Oh no, I need to look at that again. And then Sleeping Beauty was just all kinds of messed up.
Oh, I know.
Like
was it the king? I forgot how she got into she falls asleep. It's different from the spinning wheel. And then the king rapes her. She wakes up, or while she's sleeping, she has twins, wakes up, and I think he kills his wife and marries her. Something weird like that.
Yeah, that's all types of messed up. And going back to sad movies, Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, see, I didn't cry to that one.
You didn't?
I did not. I didn't cry to that one. I didn't cry to Bambi. I didn't cry to Dumbo. I don't know.
Well, Bambi, that's kind of played out. I mean, it's like, yeah, the hunter killed his mom, but I mean, I didn't think it was that sad. Dumbo was sad to a degree because her mom was dying, and she's having an anxiety attack, dealing with it, and her mom's trying to comfort her. Fox and the Hound's just straight up sad. Like that whole scene where she has to leave the fox in the woods because the hunter's a douchebag. And that whole monologue she gives, it's still sad. I try to watch it as a grown man, and it still gets me.
See, I had to rewatch it then.
No, it's just sad. I heard the original, Fox and the Hound story is 10 times as sadder.
See, I don't know about that one. I'm gonna have to I definitely have to catch up on that one because I don't think I've seen it since I was a kid, and I don't remember crying to it. Let's put it this way: The Land Before Time, that was also sad when but it's like I don't remember crying to that one neither, and I remember being in the theater with that when that came out.
I think I remember being in the theater for that. I think the first movie I went to actually go to a theater for was Lion King. And I remember like the whole big intro, the Circle of Life intro, it went to black, and I just remember looking at my dad and going, "Is the movie over?" And then the screen came back, and I'm like, "Oh, I guess not." So yeah. So you are not moved by a fox and a hound.
I don't really remember the whole movie. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
It's a good story. It just gets kind of sad in the beginning. What else can we talk about? Did you want to get into the whole CM Punk Colt Cabana thing?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Basically, what it comes down to, CM Punk Colt Cabana, they won their case against Dr. Mom a few months ago. Colt Cabana is now suing Punk.
Yes.
Punk apparently told Cabana that he'd help him with his legal fees against Dr. Amon, but soon backed out of it. The legal fees culminated up to $513,736. The story was that Punk was, he told Punk, let's go half and half, I'll help you out. Then kind of backed down on it, told him, hey, you're on your own. So now Colt Cabana is suing Punk for $200,000 in general damages and $100 million in punitive and I'm saying this word wrong, exemplary damages. So, how does this kind of make Punk look?
I've always been a CM Punk fan, and it's hard for me to, it's actually easy for me to be able to see it on both sides, because my thing is, let's put it this way, in New York State, I don't know about where they're at, and I don't know about Texas law or not, but just speaking in general for New York State, in New York State, if you can have a verbal agreement that's binding if there was some type of consideration. So, for example, the question would be now, would his actions of him actually, trying to think of the best way. So, and I know this is not the way it went down, but for example, if Punk said, hey, we're both being sued, whatever, I got you when it comes to legal fees, and, you just, side with me, and together we'll win this case, right? Let's assume that's how this went down. Colt Cabana goes, says, fine, as long as you cover the fees, I'm down, I'm on your side, whatnot. And he does. He delivers and, and whatnot. But then at the end, Punk's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Screw you, I'm out, whatever. You deal with the legal fees of this whole situation. See, the question would be, would Colt's participation in it and him actually attending it, I mean, granted he was forced to because it was a lawsuit, but my whole point is, if him agreeing to side with Punk was considered, like, if his actions were considered, can be consideration, to bind that agreement, then yes, he would have to pay. Probably not the $1 million that he's asking for, but at least I don't see that. I mean, everybody, when you get sued, especially in a case of defamation, everybody's gonna, everybody's gonna be exposed, good or bad. Everybody's gonna be exposed. So the $1 million, I highly doubt he'll see that. Mm-hmm. If anything, if he wins, he were simply to get just the legal fees paid. But then at the same time, it's sort of, if this was something that he had to incur regardless, whether, he would have been covered under Punk's attorney or whether he would have had to get his own self-representative in order to defend himself, still, it's a bill that he would have to front regardless of what it is. He chose to have Punk as a friend on his podcast. They both, Punk stated his case, and the doctor saw it as defamation. So, yeah, he sued both of them because, A, you're featuring someone, or your outlet, you gave the floor for someone to be able to defame me. So, yes, you're going to get sued because it was your product that, that caused or that delivered the defamation. So, I don't know. If CM Punk said he was going to pay it and he doesn't pay it on a moral side as a friend level, yeah, then that's wrong. Because if you have a friend and you're saying, hey, I got you, don't worry about this, because you're friends, you're going to have each other's back. But if it turns out that you were never good friends to begin with, or you just lied just to cover your ass, and that makes you a bad person.
Before I say anything, so on a legal side, Punk didn't really do anything wrong, but on a moral side, Punk did do something wrong.
That's assuming what Colt is saying is legit. Because now the thing is, let's say you can, turn tables. Let's assume that Punk never said anything. Let's assume that, Colt wanted his own representative or his own legal representation and whatnot. Let's assume that Colt assumed Punk was going to cover the payments, being the fact that he was being originally represented by Punk's attorney. So an assumption is a little bit different because it's like let's assume we're both doing something together and it's supposed to be 50-50, or I say, I'll cover it, whatnot. But even so, there's still a chance where you can change your mind. There's unless it's like unless let's say you say we're going to open up a business, I want you to give me $20,000. And then I'm like, screw you, I'm not going to give you the money back. And then yes, absolutely. Or I say, hey, yeah, go ahead and open up the business. And you do. And then it's like, I leave out, I leave. And then you're screwed with having a bill like that. Well, that's different too. But morally, if it's, you know what I mean? Like it all depends on, like you said, there's always two sides of the story. I tend to say there's three sides to every story. There's one guy, two guy, and then the truth. Now, Colt is saying that there's a text message that Punk says it. Maybe when Punk originally, got this, he can argue, he was very nervous at the whole situation. He wasn't thinking clearly. He just said it to say it, and then realized as the buildup of the legal fees were going on, that he was just back down and he was like, hey, I cannot afford it. Granted, he probably could, because I'm sure he makes more than Colt ever did. But needless to say, yes, I'm sure there's also a protection for him to be able to change his mind at any time. Unless, like I said, there was some kind of consideration within it to make it a verbally binding agreement.
Yeah, I think with Colt, him suing Punk, it's just gonna make the whole situation even worse, because I think Colt knew what he was getting himself into with CM Punk. I am a CM Punk fan.
Me too.
Granted, I've heard stories about how he is a kind of an unpleasant person to be around. Yeah. If you ask wrestlers, they'll say that he's a piece of shit. According to the hardcore scene, he's beloved by everybody.
Right.
With CM Punk, this, if it's true, it doesn't surprise me all that much, because CM Punk has a history of being a little sketchy. So I'm not against Punk, but I'm not for Punk in this. With Colt, to go after this much money, you're not going to this. I don't even think this will even see a day in court.
No, I don't think so. And like they said, the article that I was reading said, and I apologize for cutting you off, but
no, don't worry about it.
The article at Wrestling was basically talking about how the WWE was counting on, on there to be a fallout between them, so that they coincide on the WWE side, not for it to happen afterwards.
Well, apparently the city of Chicago is in favor of Colt Cabana, because at a wrestling show called Progress Wrestling, an announcer, I'm not too sure what his name is, had mentioned CM Punk's name, and it was booed.
Wow.
And after which it started a Colt Cabana chant. So it seems like the Chicago's own son, CM Punk, is, hated. I guess the people have already made up their mind who they're siding with. This obviously doesn't look good for the supposed rumor that Punk will show up at All In. That card's starting to look pretty decent, but what's your whole view on the whole All In pay-per-view?
Well, from what I know, it's gonna cost $40, but I also know that I think it's $150 if you want to see the podcasters, like the live feed for that, and then that does not include the pay-per-view. I think to me, $40 is worth watching. If you can't afford $40, that's cool. No one's judging, but you can totally, if you want to have like a viewing party, it's something that's not been done. To my knowledge, it hasn't been done, and it would be worth watching. At least that's it. To me, would I actually be watching it? I can't honestly tell you if I am. It depends on what I would be doing that day. I'm definitely read up about it. And when I was talking with Julian, and I was basically saying, my thing is, if you're invited to be part of an All In, yes, it's definitely a prestigious honor to have, and it'd be great to go there if you know that you're gonna be able to get the money back, or whether it's getting your full money back or somehow getting new subs, being able to sell merch, getting exposed to bigger podcasters, if you're going to dish out a lot of money, because it's a lot of money to have to be present there. Mm-hmm. So that's, to me, I mean, people are saying, others are saying that, it's Cody's way of kind of like middle fingering the WWE and whatnot. That brand's international and they're global, that's not going to go anywhere. That's not going to go away anytime soon. Yes.
Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, it's just not going to go anywhere. Even though you're going to have New Japan Wrestling, you got ROH, you have a lot of new indies coming up like House of Glory and whatnot. Even though you have that and they're great and they have our attention and whatnot, something like the WWE, which has been around for decades, that's not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, how I compare it to when it comes to WWE and New Japan, it's quality over quantity. Where it's like over here in Texas we have Whataburger, and then there's McDonald's. McDonald's has been around since forever, as far as I know. So they're not always going to make the best burgers, but they make the most money.
Yes.
No one's going to put them in a business. Whataburger, I'm biased. It has the better burgers. It's better quality. Has better stuff. But will it be bigger than McDonald's? No.
No.
So with WWE compared to like Ring of Honor or New Japan, does New Japan and Ring of Honor have better quality in like wrestling and storytelling? Sure. WWE, I don't think anyone's ever going to put them in a business. They're going to be around as long as they possibly can. If The Simpsons hasn't been canceled yet, neither will WWE. And The Simpsons is probably almost as bad as WWE at this point. So, again, I'm not. This isn't me trying to sound like a WWE fanboy, but when it comes to other wrestling, it gets me hard. It's kind of hard for me to get into it because I've been watching WWE for so long. If I watch Ring of Honor or anything else, it kind of it's one of those things that has to like grab me and get my attention. Otherwise, I'm just looking at my phone.
Right.
That's just the kind of guy I am when it comes to anything. Something has to like really grab me. Otherwise, I'm just going to get bored. Not to say that the wrestling isn't good from like Ring of Honor or New Japan, because I have actually watched New Japan before because I have access. I have the Access channel, and I watched one of their G1 tournaments or one of their pay-per-views that they had recently, and it was actually pretty good. But again, it took me a while to kind of like grab my interest because when it comes to New Japan, the only names I know about are Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, Okada, and now Jericho's on it. So that's about it. Everyone else I see, I'm like, okay, who's that guy and why should I care? And not to sound condescending or snarky, but it's just it's kind of like it's like how wrestling has always been.
Right. No, it's always the same. It's like, I get it, because even if you're watching a Raw or SmackDown, you're like, who the hell is this guy and why the hell should I care? You know?
It's I think it's kind of like why a lot of the NXT call-ups aren't working the way they should, because the WWE audience is a lot different than the NXT audience, because the NXT audience is full of, a lot of the kind of like the quote-unquote smart fans, whereas the WWE audience is the WWE audience. So a guy like Adam Cole is going to be big in NXT, but you put him on the main roster, people are going to see him like, he's really small. And he does a lot of super kicks, and he says, "Bebe, why should I care?"
Right.
Just it's like that, whole thing of like, if you push something on someone and make out to be like it's the greatest thing ever made, it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. Because, people are going to be like, okay, it's great, but why should I care? Like, explain to me why I need to care about this person. Sell this person to me. So I think that's why a lot of the call-ups don't work. It's like with Nakamura. Nakamura was sold as, oh, he's the next big thing. He was this, and that in Japan. And when he's brought up to the main roster, he just gets like a kind of like a stale, polite golf clap. So that's always kind of been my mentality. I respect that it's good. I acknowledge that it's good. I acknowledge that they have quality matches. I acknowledge that they have good talent. But that's not going to be enough to grab me.
No, I know. I know what you mean.
So
you're right.
The whole All-In pay-per-view, I'm not going to pay $40 to watch it. I'll probably see if I can like scam off of like a live stream.
Oh, that's the other thing I said. I was like, most likely Cody or someone's going to go live on it. You're right.
Because it's supposed to be on Fight TV.
Yes.
The app.
The app. Mm-hmm.
Like they're supposedly going to show the first hour for free on WGN, but after which you have to actually pay for it on the app.
My thing is this app really going to be ready for everybody that's going to go in on it?
You mean all in?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I mean like every single person that wants to see this and is actually willing to sign up and pay, will they have enough bandwidth to go ahead and and not crash? Because that was my other thing.
Ooh, that's actually a pretty interesting question, because Netflix, they've had that happen to them a lot with, because I remember when they released Luke Cage, like the very first day they released it, the whole entire app crashed because so many people were getting on trying to stream in and watch it. Exactly. So, I don't know, that's actually a pretty interesting question. I never thought about that until before. Kind of segue into a similar topic. What's your whole view on the? Because I believe I listened to you and Kev talk about it, but the women's pay-per-view is coming up in October, because that's kind of similar to the All In, whereas when Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks announced All In, they announced it as, hey, it's the next big thing, it's going to be amazing. Okay, but what are the matches? It's going to be amazing. Okay, who's wrestling? But it's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's kind of like with this women's pay-per-view. They announce it, and it had like a mixed reaction, more so bad. Right, because here's my thing. We kind of saw that was what they were going to be working on from when they started the Give Women a Chance movement. This was building up for that, and some say that, hey, it's like throwing them a bone because of the fact that all the women were not allowed to go to where was it that they went that were Saudi Arabia. Yes, thank you, because I was like, I couldn't remember off the top. Yeah, so some people were saying, oh, this is just like throwing them a bone because they weren't featured there, so now let them have their moment and whatnot. Others are saying, and based on what I saw with the way it was advertised to the marketers, is that
this year they're really trying to push the women agenda, especially because none of the male wrestlers were featured when they were presenting Raw and SmackDown as a product of their own to the NBC audience, to the NBC sponsors. It was not at all. So my thing with this is this. If you're going to give a pay-per-view of women, the women have for the longest, since, wrestling's been around, always been, seen as they can't wrestle or they're just companions or whatnot. And if you're going to deliver stories in which it's not going to empower women and in which it's not going to catch anybody's attention, then even if they're athletic, which, they are, you have Charlotte, you have Becky, you have Sasha, you have Bayley, you have pretty much the four horsewomen. You have others that have been in the industry like Natty and, I can't think of her name off the top. And perfect example, like an Alicia Fox. Alicia's been in the game for 10 years, if not plus. They talked about her accolades on Raw. Okay, but what did they have her do? Dance around in the ring to Ronda Rousey. It's like if this is the kind of thing that we're gonna see at a women's pay-per-view, like that little snippet of Raw, then why should I invest in a product that it's like, what are you trying to tell me? Like that women can't do this, or that, hey, let's not watch it because it's what the men used to call, or everybody used to call, the bathroom break. There's a 5-minute women's match on a 4-hour pay-per-view. Bathroom break. If you're gonna make that pay-per-view be bathroom break for an entire 2 hours or however long it is, then why should anybody invest in it? I don't care if it's women or not. If it's a shitty pay-per-view and the storylines are just not being built to that, then I'm not gonna watch it. And yes, as a female, I am happy. As a wrestling fan, I am happy that, you're going to have an all women's pay-per-view, but if it's going to be trash, then why am I going to even bother wasting my time looking at it? Or I know it's happening in October, and yes, it's good for the women to be featured. Sure, they, now it's like, you can't say they have 20-minute matches. They're going to have their entire pay-per-view, but hey, give me something that's going to grab my attention now, that's going to build up to that pay-per-view. So I'm like, yay, women, this is great. Yeah. You're not doing that now. You're not.
Well, because you look at their past history lately with a lot of their women's first. They had the first ever women's Hell in a Cell. That fell flat in its face.
Right.
The first ever the Women's Royal Rumble, that fell on its face. The Money in the Bank, that fell on its face.
No,
actually, you know what? No, I take that back.
Take it back, because I'd say the Royal Rumble was actually even better than the men's this year. With Asuka winning, it was, to me, I felt that was a better Rumble than it was for the guys' side.
Well, here's why I say it fell flat on its face, because what the fuck was her name? Asuka, she wins, and then Ronda Rousey comes out and steals her thunder.
Oh, well, yeah. See that, but no, actually, that's a perfect example of you. How is it that you have a woman that you brought in from NXT who's undefeated and whatnot, and then you have her lose to Charlotte, which is fine. Charlotte, which makes in a way, it doesn't make sense if you think about it, because the year prior, Charlotte had lost to Asuka, right?
Well, that's what I was going to get into. You have her lose to Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have Charlotte beat Asuka, and then you have you have her give that weird promo after the end. You were ready for Asuka. It's like, okay, are you quitting or what's happening? And then John Cena conveniently runs out of the ring, or runs into the back, and then she ends up having a job to no reaction Mella twice.
Yes. Well, that's what I said. And no one has said this, but I remember I was like, first you have her lose to Charlotte, then you have Charlotte lose to Mella. So you already just pretty much downplayed both of your top women wrestlers because of Carmella. Why? Why would you do that? And then Carmella said it on that Tuesday where she was like, I beat Charlotte, so in essence, Charlotte beat Asuka, so technically I beat Asuka too. I'm like, yes, that's the point. Like, you just kicked 2 top wrestlers down notches and just completely ruined Asuka, because now, what was the point of her having an undefeated streak that was going on for her? Even if she would have lost it to Ronda Rousey, let's assume that would have happened, but that would have been a great build-up for next year's WrestleMania. It's like, yeah, Asuka versus Ronda Rousey, great build-up for next year. And even then, you could have said, well, even if you want to say Ronda's still green, but let's build it up so that it builds up so that, whether it's going to be a SummerSlam or whether it's going to be next year's WrestleMania, we have that. And everybody's anticipating it, because it's like, shit, Asuka has not been defeated since NXT. You know what? But then what do? You completely ruined that storyline. It's like, what the hell was the point of her carrying that streak since NXT, so that you basically hand it to Carmella for no fucking reason? It's just, that's what I'm talking about with trash storylines.
All right, so let me ask you this, and I've heard this before from other podcasts. It's kind of a joke, but I think it's kind of true. Do you think the company is just mad that they can't sexualize the women wrestlers anymore?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you think about it, they're pretty much coming out as sexy as possible. Carmella comes out in that bathing suit. I think Becky now has new gear with bathing suit. The girls still come out with either their 2-piece outfits.
Well, what I mean by that is, like, back in the day, the only women's matches you would really see are, Raw was
the panty matches,
bra and panties, evening gown, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but you know what? They switched that whole view. I don't think they're punishing the women. If anything, they're trying to bank on them somehow. They're trying to use the whole, women empowerment with the, taking the angle now that it's taking the Me Too angle, and how women are now being, more empowered. They're trying to take that angle, and they're trying to go ahead and push this evolution right now, so they can bank on it, so that equally they can say, hey, we have women athletes in our division. It's not just, chauffeurs. It's not, managers. They're actually women performing, and we have the top name being Ronda Rousey in it. So to legitimate why can't I say the word? To make it more legit, let's put it that. To make it more legit that this women's division is going somewhere. You got the baddest woman on the planet, as a headliner for WrestleMania. So I don't think I would say no, because when Linda ran for what was she running for at that point? I think she was running for the Senate, right? And she kept on losing and losing and losing. But at that point, when as soon as they got into the political world, they switched that, raunchy era, the Attitude Era, but / the raunchiness with the women being exposed and all that, and they switched it into more of a family environment, and let's do it for, let's present the product in a way that kids can see it and parents can still be proud of it and whatnot, and it's okay, because guess what? If you have an 8-year-old kid that's into John Cena and is going to bother his parents to get everything John Cena, then that's where the merch is going to sell from these little kids. It's not really going to sell as much from an adult that might be a John Cena fan, but I don't feel like spending $30 on his t-shirt. Whereas with the kids, it would. So as far as whether it's punishing the women because they can't sexualize them, no. I think on the contrary, they're trying to somehow find ways to push them and be able to bank on them, but the way they've been doing it has been failing so much. It's been horrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. It's like with the Bayley Sasha storyline. Mm-hmm. That had promise for like a second when Bayley just started beating the shit out of Sasha.
Yes.
Where it was like, oh, is Bayley gonna be a cool kick-ass heel? And then like not even an hour later, oh, you're going to anger management. It's like, you had something cool, and then you took it away. So it's like, I'll kind of retract that statement on not sexualizing. I think it's more just like they're not making them look so much like women. And let me kind of explain that. It's like that period of time where Sasha Banks was always crying and talking about how when she was a little girl, and then Eddie Guerrero and blah blah blah.
Yes.
It's like, okay, women cry, men cry, people cry. I'm fine with that, but it's like, why do they have to cry about everything? Why do you have to give a promo and then cry and talk about how you were a little girl and blah blah blah? Which they stopped that. So that's, I guess, it's not really sexualizing. It's more just
I think it's just bullying.
Yeah.
I would say bullying. You know, I'll tell you why. Because if we take it back to when we had the what was it, the Money in the Bank ladder match, right? Yeah. Where you had Ellsworth hand the briefcase over to Mel. My thing is, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say that women can't do it. And I know I got pissed off at Ryback because of the way he came off. And maybe he had the right idea and he just did his delivery was stupid.
Was it when he said, like, you know, women need to go up there and shake their asses or something like that?
Yeah, which I was like, no, they shouldn't. But my thing is, if you're promoting that you're promoting this as the first all women's, you know, Money in the Bank, blah, blah, blah. Everything is, you know, first ever. This is a great blah, blah, blah for the women. Why would you have a man hand the briefcase to a woman? Why couldn't she climb the ladder herself and grab it? That's why Ryback says something like they can't climb ladders. You know what? It's sad to say, and I don't agree with anything he said, but that's the one thing that it's like, damn, you know what? It's like, wow, that's really fucked up. Like, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say that women are always going to need the help of a guy. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for guys and girls helping each other. That's not a problem. But if you're advertising like this is, you know, you have all these powerful women athletes and they can do this and that, why would you actually have a guy in the ring to ruin a match, to ruin a moment? And then you're going to do it again on Tuesday for SmackDown. And it almost led to the same shit, of which I remember I was completely pissed off. But it goes to moments like that. And then this is the other perplexing part of me is, if you have the Be a Star movement, right? That's their own little anti-bullying campaign they got going on, that they go to schools and whatnot. Why would you have someone like Alexa Bliss and turn Nia Jax from being this amazing Amazonian type woman into like acting like a little 8-year-old, scared and sad and being bullied by a little 5-foot person? Like, it makes no sense. Like, everybody, like Bayley also got bullied. It's like these women come from the NXT roster. They were tough as nails, you know, very tough women. And their characters at NXT, you know, someone like a Nia Jax would have obliterated an Alexa Bliss. You know, if they would have continued the story in the main roster. Like, even in real life, you don't have someone as strong as Nia Jax get bullied by someone tinier than me. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. And it goes against their Be a Star movement that they got going on. And it goes against you're just making the women look weak. Your goal is to, and I get it, they're trying to, you know, have Alexa be the strong heel and whatnot. But there's ways of doing it without actually turning your strong women, baby faces, as little girls that are being kicked around in the schoolyard.
So what you're saying is Roman Reigns will appear at the pay-per-view and give a promo about how he's a feminist?
I don't know.
And that Triple H will bury Ronda?
No, I don't think he'll bury her. Unfortunately, I feel like they're gonna. They're gonna put everything on her back. That they're gonna promote her so much. It's sort of like I remember when Brock Lesnar came back. I mean, granted, he's still holding the same damn belt. But, you know, when he came back, everything was like, oh, Brock Lesnar, everything changes because Brock Lesnar, we got a legit one from UFC, blah, blah, blah. Even though he was WWE, then went off to UFC and is back. And now kind of the fans were like, oh, just get the belt off. I'm just tired of it. But I feel like with Ronda Rousey, because it's all eyes on Ronda, and she's still the baddest woman on the planet and whatnot, I feel like they're gonna ride that Ronda wave as much as they can. But what they should realize is that you can't base your entire empire on one person. You know, Ronda could go out tomorrow and be like, fuck this shit, I want to go back to UFC, even though she got her butt kicked twice, but she could easily go back. You know, like, there's nothing stopping her from moving to anything else. If she wanted to go to New Japan Wrestling, she can do whatever she wants. So, like, that's why, to me, I feel like if you're going to have this Women's Evolution pay-per-view, right? You can't just headline it by just saying, oh, Ronda Rousey. We got Ronda Rousey. She's a tough athlete. She's not, you know, she's not just a girl. She's a, you know, real person, real performer. You know, this is not storyline. You're going to want to build those women up to be just as strong as Ronda, if not better than her. You know, we have all these women wrestlers that are athletic, but the storylines are just not there. So, I don't know.
Yeah, with Ronda, she's getting that. It's kind of unfair that she has to kind of carry that pay-per-view on her own. You know, granted, you know, they've already confirmed Trish Stratus, Lita, and, you know, they're going to appear at the pay-per-view.
Oh, absolutely. And them two would be the only reason why I would actually watch the pay-per-view. I
mean, I'll watch. I'm not just. I'm going to go in with an open mind and watch. Will it be subpar? Probably. I don't think it will be terrible. I don't think WWE would just put up something. Well, I'm going to take that back. Yeah, they do put up stuff that they know is going to be terrible. So I'm going to retract that statement. But will this pay-per-view be terrible? No. Will it be subpar? Probably. Will it be amazing? All signs point to no. But, you know, I'm just going to watch it. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of tag matches.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I'm getting. They're probably going to add the Mae Young finals on it, more than likely, which that sounds like a smart idea.
Right.
From what I heard, there's been talk about them, you know, having like bringing up the women's tag team titles, which I honestly thought that was what the announcement was going to be before they announced.
I thought so too. I was surprised that they actually did the pay-per-view versus saying, oh, women's tag team titles, especially with all these factions they got going on. But
I mean, it's good that it's not just Raw and SmackDown. They're adding NXT girls in there, and they're going to add the Mae Young girls in there, which it makes it interesting because you can see new matchups. You know, you can see Shayna Baszler going up against, say, fucking Nia Jax or whomever. You know, that'd be an interesting match for Shayna Baszler versus Asuka. For Ronda Rousey, this is going to be the time that proves that Ronda is really worth the money that people say she is.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
You know, I like Ronda personally. I think she's done a pretty good job in WWE. She's only had 3 matches, you know, barring the Alicia Fox match. You know, the other 2 of that were actually pretty good. You know, Kev said that she had the match of the night at WrestleMania, and I kind of agree with him.
Yeah.
Her match with Nia before Alexa threw basically a pillow fight punch at Ronda. It was actually a pretty good match. So I don't know. Depending on who you put in the ring against Ronda, I don't know. Again, I'm going to go in with this an open mind. We only have like 2 months until the pay-per-view comes up, so they have a lot of planning to do on how they're going to build up, you know, their women wrestlers from all 3 brands.
Exactly, so that's the thing. They need to build them up. They need to come up with stories that make you excited to watch it. Yes, like I'm excited already because of Lita and Trish. That alone has me excited. I'm like, shit, both of them there. That's great. I'm excited for that. We know what those women can do, and see them back in the ring would be awesome. But hey, you had, you know, and I still take this example because this is one of my favorite matches. Sasha Banks and Bayley for TakeOver Brooklyn a couple years ago. What a hell of a match that Triple H ended up giving them roses, a bouquet of roses after that match, because that was the match of the night for that pay-per-view. And that's the only match I actually remember during the entire SummerSlam weekend was the TakeOver match. And yes, the ladies still have it in them to deliver that and more, but just, hey, build it up. Like, I'm tired of seeing the same storylines. I'm tired of seeing someone being bullied in the women's division. It's like, stand up and fight. If this empowerment, if this entire movement is supposed to be about empowering women, then women should have each other's back and not allow for shit like that to happen, and not even accept storylines like that just because you want to be on air. Like, that's just not right.
Well, pretty much the way it looks, the only two women that are allowed to look powerful are Stephanie McMahon and Ronda Rousey.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Did you want to get into SummerSlam predictions?
We can. I got the card up.
All right. I actually have it up too. Oh shit, I don't. Oh, actually, I do. All right. Yeah, SummerSlam this Sunday. You said you're like gonna go to SummerSlam, or what are you doing?
No, I'm gonna go to Takeover.
Oh, okay. How many takeovers have you been to?
I've been to. Well, this is gonna be my first Takeover, but I've seen each Takeover at home. That's the one SummerSlam weekend pay-per-view that I never miss.
I have been to one Takeover, and that was when it was in San Antonio for the Rumble.
Wow.
We went to Takeover, and then we went to the Rumble the next night. We haven't been to an NXT show in a while because we would kind of have the tradition of, hey, let's go to every NXT that comes to San Antonio, but time and money have kind of gotten in the way of that. But
right.
Yeah, the next NXT we're definitely going to. There's supposed to be like Hell in the Cell is actually coming here next month.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, Hell in the Cell. It's going to be here next month, and tickets are still up. They're actually still cheap. Yeah, San Antonio pay-per-views, they don't really sell out. Not even, like when we bought our Royal Rumble tickets, there were still tickets available.
Wow.
Yeah, SummerSlam be at the Barclays Center this Sunday. There's 12 matches. Pre-show match, Rusev and Lana versus Andrade, Cien Almas, and Zelina Vega.
I want to say Almas wins this.
Yeah, I kind of have to. I mean, they're building him up to be the their next Latin superstar, which hopefully he's not another Del Rio, which so far he isn't.
Well, that and Lana can wrestle, so I imagine anyone can wrestle more than Lana.
Yeah, you're kind of right. Zelina, I granted haven't seen her wrestle that much. I mean, she's decent, but yeah, Rusev. The talk is that he might be leaving the company after SummerSlam.
I've heard of that since WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's like you keep hearing that he's going to leave after every pay-per-view event. It's like, I like Rusev and all, but I don't see him succeeding in like a Ring of Honor or New Japan. But hey, Cody, he's doing just fine in Ring of Honor. So
true.
You never say never, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Rusev left, but I don't think he'll leave. So yeah, we're both with Almas on this match, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next match on the main card, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz.
I love The Miz. I want to say The Miz is going to win. But somehow I feel like they're going to give it to Daniel Bryan.
I have that feeling too, because I think Miz needs to win a lot more, because they're putting a lot of faith into him, because they're giving him his own show.
Yes.
You don't just give a guy... Go ahead.
And he's a newborn dad.
Yeah, he's... I think The Miz is starting to get that, that hot streak that he got when he was the champion, the WWE champion. So I think The Miz needs this win a lot more. Daniel Bryan, his... I hate to say it, I like Daniel Bryan, but his return has kind of been ho-hum. I mean, granted, when he got brought back, they put him in a feud against Big Cass, or Big Kaz, as he's known as now.
Yeah.
So you can't blame him for being in a feud against someone who was dead weight, but I think this match will be pretty good. The build-up has been interesting, but I think Daniel Bryan will win, but I want The Miz to win.
Yeah, same here.
All right, next match, Finn Balor versus Constable Corbin.
Oh my gosh, Finn has to win this. If Finn loses to Corbin, you're gonna see some crazy tweets from me.
Can Corbin just be released already? Why is he wrestling in a vest?
I have no idea. But you know what? Props to him shaving.
Yeah, at least he finally shaved that spaghetti noodle wet hair look. But why a vest? And I think somebody pointed this out. When the company starts taking away aspects of you that make you look like a wrestler, that means they're going to release you pretty soon. And I seriously hope to whatever God that anyone prays to that's true. I want Corbin off my TV. I hate him so much. So we're both agreeing that we want Finn to win and we want Corbin to be fired.
Yeah, and I hope this time it's Demon Balor that comes out. I would love to see that.
Against Corbin, no. Maybe in like a high profile match. Like, him against Brock Lesnar or something.
True.
So, next match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship.
I think Hardy's gonna win this.
I think Orton's gonna be involved somehow if he's not fired by that time. Which he probably won't be, but I think Orton's gonna be involved in this match somehow. They might even just make this a triple threat. But I think Nakamura's gonna retain.
Okay.
So, Mr. Nutcracker Nakamura. Next match, Cruiserweight Championship, Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak.
I'll say Cedric gets this.
I haven't paid attention to the Cruiserweight or 205, even though I've heard 205 has actually gotten a lot better. Cedric I like from what I've seen. Drew Gulak, I don't know if he still does the dorky white boy gimmick anymore. So, I guess Cedric. Next match, triple threat for the SmackDown Women's title. Carmella, the champion, versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair.
I think they're going to give it to Charlotte, but I would love to see Becky win.
I love Becky so much. I think she's one of the few women that actually gets a reaction. Like, at the Money in the Bank women's match, anytime she climbed up the ladder, people were cheering because they wanted Becky to win.
Yeah.
And they gave it to Alexa Bliss, who from watching the match, she got no offense, and Becky's out there, like, killing herself.
Exactly.
And then Becky finally gets this shot at Carmella where it's like, hey, maybe Becky might win at SummerSlam, but they add Charlotte in, which I love Charlotte. And I guess they wanted to make this a triple threat match because they didn't think Becky could carry the match by herself. But you could have just let Charlotte come in afterwards. Let Becky have her moment. Becky's deserved it. I don't know why they hate her so much.
I don't know why. She's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think next to Charlotte, she's the best worker. She's probably the best worker on the women's roster next to Charlotte.
No, you're right.
So, I hope Becky wins, but I'm having this kind of disgusting, slimy feeling that Carmella's going to win.
Yeah, I have that horrible feeling too. Like, I want Becky to win. I feel like maybe they'll give it to Charlotte, but it'd be stupid for them to just leave the belt on Carmella. And they might actually do it just because they're just like that.
Yeah, they hate the fans. That's common knowledge. They hate their fans.
Yeah.
So we both agree we want Becky to win and snap off Carmella's arms, and Carmella gets fired the next day.
Pretty much.
Yay. Next match on the card, Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship.
I think Seth is going to win this.
I think so too. I was already confused as to why they gave it to Dolph, because I was so sure. I was under the impression that they were going to give it to Elias at Money in the Bank, and they didn't. But the next night they gave it to Dolph, which kind of made no sense because I don't hate Dolph, but Dolph hasn't been a thing in 5 years.
Yeah, they finally threw him a bone. Because what else were they going to do with him?
Yeah, I mean, they signed him to a new contract supposedly, so they got to give him something.
Exactly.
and they gave him Drew Galloway or Drew McIntyre, whatever they decide to call him now. So, yeah, Seth. I hope Seth wins. The rumor is that Dean Ambrose will appear at SummerSlam.
Is he finally heel? Because I don't know if that was I kind of heard that, but I don't know if that would be 100%.
Well, the rumor was that tonight on Raw he was supposed to come back, and he would announce that he was going to be in Seth's corner. Which, if that's the truth, that kind of seems like a heel turn waiting to happen.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think Dean will probably cost Seth the match in some way, or maybe Seth will win and Dean will cost him. But it'd make more sense for Dean to cost him the match.
It would, unless it's still like that he does it afterwards, after the match. You know, have Ziggy win, and then as Rollins is just about to get up, just get smacked with a chair, and there's your heel turn for Ambrose.
Yeah, because that'd be a good feud because Rollins is without a doubt the best babyface on the card. He's the most over babyface on the card, and then you got Dean, who people love Dean, and to see him turn heel against his best friend, his brother, it's kind of like Gargano and Ciampa, where people love those two so much, and I freaking love them. I love both of those guys, but when Ciampa turned on Gargano, it was like, people wanted Ciampa's head on a stick. So that'd be kind of like with Dean and Seth, where it's like, Dean, how can you turn on your best friend?
Well, Seth turned on him first.
Yeah, you're right.
That could be payback.
It's like, they're doing continue. I can't say the word right.
Continuation of the storyline from years ago.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like, Dean, why'd you wait 4 years to do it? Because it doesn't make any sense. Anyways,
no, I'm sure there's some weird explanation for it.
It's like
I just felt like it.
I was just biding my time and wanting to wait for the opportunity. Okay then. But next match, Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. If Kevin Owens wins, he will win Braun Strowman's Money in the Bank contract.
No, it has to be that Braun Strowman has to win. Unless it's some stupid shit that KO gets someone to interfere and he ends up getting the Money in the Bank that way.
Yeah, I mean, if Braun wins this, then what was... The way I see it, if Braun wins it, which he will, because he'll probably cash in the main event, then what was the point on making this stipulation, though? So, I mean, I kind of get it and I don't.
I guess just to throw the fans off and having the 50-50 of, well, if KO wins, is he really gonna cash in that night? Or or just putting the seed of doubt, oh damn, KO is actually gonna win, so we're all anticipating for Braun to win this, go into that match for whoever it is that's Brock Lesnar with Reigns, and either cash it in at, after the match or try to get himself into the match somehow or whatnot. I don't know. I don't see Braun losing. I think if that's the case, that's going to piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, because I think, I don't know, we'll get into the main event eventually, but yeah, Braun will win. There's really no sense in him losing it. I mean, granted, people like Kevin Owens, but you don't want to take the Money in the Bank off of Braun. He sells merch, people like him, people love him, kids love him, so just keep it on Braun. It makes more sense to keep it on Braun. Next match, tag team titles from SmackDown, the Bludgeon Brothers versus the New Day.
I think the New Day will take this.
Yeah, they need to take it. The Bludgeon Brothers suck. I'm sorry. I like Harper. I like Luke Harper. I think he's really good. Rowan, I'm kind of meh on. But right. My whole thing with the whole Bludgeon Brothers thing is, why didn't you just sell them as just guys? Like, sell
Singles?
sell them as guys. Like, I mean, as a tag team. But like, if you were gonna make them a tag team, okay, why don't you just sell them as just guys that could just beat the shit out of people? Why give them this?
Sort of like the APA.
Yeah, like exactly like the APA, exactly. Like instead of giving them this whole these guys from a Static X new metal concert from 2001,
right,
with foamy, rubbery hammers that don't even really hurt or they don't even hardly use it. Just give them. Why don't you just sell them as just guys who can beat the shit out of people? Because they already look like guys who can beat the shit out of people.
Yeah, they're super tall and strong. You're right.
Yeah, and then Harper is actually very talented. He can wrestle and he can hold his own. Mm-hmm. Why give him this goofy gimmick? So, just based off of the goofy gimmick alone, they need to take the titles off and give them the New Day, because New Day, the gimmick has gotten stale. They need to break them apart eventually, but I don't see that happening anytime soon because, again, they sell merch. So I see the New Day winning this. I don't see why they shouldn't. But kind of like going back to the Carmella match, I have a feeling that the Bludgeon Brothers will probably win.
Maybe.
So, next match, WWE Championship, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe.
I want Samoa Joe to win.
I have a feeling that he might win, and I'm alright with it because I love AJ, but I think they need to take the title off him.
Yeah, I love AJ too, but they need to give him a break. Give the title to Samoa. Like,
here's how I kind of painted it. Give the title to Joe and see how he holds it until, like, the end of the year. If he's able to hold it, if he's able to have a good title run at the end of the year, then have him hold that title to Mania. And have AJ win the Royal Rumble and get his title back. Or whomever. But Joe, I think you should give the title to Joe. AJ can go, he's a freak, but he's also 40. I think he just turned 41. And you need to give that guy a break. He can't keep carrying, SmackDown on his back. So, this match, it should be a great match, but then again, we thought Nakamura and AJ would be a great match on WWE. We thought AJ versus Kevin Owens would be great matches, but those kind of fell flat on its face. So, I'm just waiting to see how WWE decides to fuck this matchup. Maybe they hit each other in the head with baseball bats, like in Step Brothers.
Oh, wow.
So, Joe. I want Joe to win. Next match, Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title.
I mean, it would be crazy if they've been hyping her up and they don't give her the title. Unless they actually have Alexa. It makes no sense. The only way I feel Alexa's going to win is if there's an interference so that they don't make Ronda look weak. And she carries this until Evolution, and then Ronda ends up winning the belt there.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, I guess that kind of makes sense. If you're going to have the all women's pay-per-view, and then you're going to have the biggest women's, probably the biggest women's athlete in like history in Ronda Rousey, have her win the title at the first ever women's pay-per-view. That makes sense. So
right.
if you're gonna have Ronda lose, which is probably gonna be like in like a fuck finish, have her win it at the women's pay-per-view. That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm actually all for that. I'm just cringing at the thought of Ronda having to sell for Alexa.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking. If that happens, it has to be like Foxy interferes and Ronda loses, and they'll continue this whole storyline until Evolution.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like Alexa Bliss, not for her wrestling, if you get what I mean,
right.
She's just not very good in the ring.
Mm-mm.
I don't think she's ever really had a good match, and she obviously can't use weapons because it looks like she's like tapping you instead of hitting you. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case. Main events, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title.
See, this one is a little toughy because there's a couple things that I have in my mind of what could happen. It could be that this time Roman Reigns actually wins, since he was supposed to win at WrestleMania, but it was an off-the-script moment with Lesnar. Or it could be that, even though I heard that he was being extended for a couple months, so I don't know. Maybe he'll hold it till the very end and then drop the belt. I don't know. It's hard to say for that one. I would say everybody's tired of Brock. Everybody wants, what they would want to happen is that either whoever one of these guys win, that, Strowman interferes, or rather, no, not interferes, I'm sorry. The Strowman comes in at the end of the match, cashes in, and becomes the champ. And I think everybody would be happy if that happens. Because having the belt on Roman, Roman fans sure be happy for it. I'm sure Roman himself would be happy for it. But we've seen what he's done with it, and it's not much. But whereas if you have someone like Strowman come in, everybody would be happy because, yay, it's not one of these two.
So is Roman? Looking back on Roman Reigns' title wins, it seems like a lot of his title matches end in somebody cashing in their Money in the Bank.
Possibly. I can't remember off the top what was the last one.
Yeah, the first match he had with Brock, that's when Seth cashed in. And then the second time he became champion, that's when Sheamus cashed in.
Oh, yes.
So, is that going to be... That's going to be like a Roman Reigns gimmick, is anytime I win a title...
Everybody cashes in. Yeah. Everybody cashes in to make the crowd happy. I mean, I don't know.
It seems like that's WWE's cash out, is we want to push Roman Reigns, but we also don't want to piss people off, but we don't care about the people.
We don't want to piss Brock Lesnar off, yeah.
So, I can see...
Or...
Go ahead.
Or... This, we're forgetting Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is a big key into this entire match. It could just be that this whole thing was not fake, that what Paul Heyman did say was, all tears and everything, that's legit, and that it turns out that his new client is Braun Strowman. Mm. Or it could just be like, oh, we tricked you, and, he helps somehow screw Reigns over so that Lesnar keeps the title. I don't know. It could go many ways.
So do you see Braun coming in the main event or the next night on the Raw?
I see him coming in after the main event. Whoever wins, I feel like he's going to cash in afterwards.
I asked that because it kind of seems like it'd be too obvious, because it seems like the audience would be waiting for that to happen.
Well, that's true, and they have pissed off the audience before, because I remember many pay-per-views in which you're like, okay, what's gonna happen next? This can't end like this, and it actually ends this way, horribly. But it would make every single person in New York and every person at, anybody else watching this pay-per-view, anyone on Twitter, everybody... It would make them super happy if someone else other than these guys have a belt.
All I know is that the belt needs to get off of Brock. It's been on him way too long.
Way too long.
It's like a year and a half already?
Possibly even more.
Jesus. Because he won it at WrestleMania in 2017 against Goldberg.
Right.
So... it's a year and 4 months.
And he really didn't defend it. Out of every, supposed to be used to be every 30 days. Now it's like whenever he feels like it, he'll defend it.
Yeah, and in kayfabe, it's if you don't defend it after 30 days, and the title's stripped off. But
yeah,
WWE doesn't care about kayfabe.
Nope.
So, yeah, this pay-per-view. The only match that maybe a couple matches look like they're worth watching. AJ versus Joe. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz could be something.
The Ronda Rousey match.
Everyone wants to see if Ronda Rousey is going to win, which she should. But like you mentioned, they might just have a screw finish and just have her win at the women's pay-per-view.
Right.
And the anticipation of if Braun will cash in against Brock. So,
right.
Yeah, SummerSlams for the past, it seems like almost a decade, haven't been that great.
No, they have not. Not at all. That's why I'm excited for TakeOver, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and if you're WWE, and people are more excited to see the the minor league, which NXT that's what it is. It's the minor leagues. It's for the upcoming guys that are being brought to the main roster. If people are more excited to see the minor league rather than the big leagues, then they need to change something about it, which they haven't. That'd be like the owner of the. You're a baseball fan, right?
Yes.
All right. What's the minor league equivalent to the Mets? The Mets.
I can't think of the name off the top, but yeah, I know we have a minor league. I just have no idea what their name is.
It's like if people are like, oh, I'm so excited to see this minor league team rather than the pro team,
right?
And I don't know anything. I know like this much about baseball, so I'm just like kind of using that as an example. They need to kind of borrow that formula on what makes it popular and use it to their own advantage. I'm not saying copy it. I mean, because they easily could, but they don't have the right guys to do it because they already have it in their mind on who they want to push and who they don't want to push.
Right. So, that and Triple H is the one that pretty much that's his baby.
Yeah, and the main roster it belongs to Vince, and Vince he'll push who he wants to push, and unfortunately Vince's ideas are still stuck in 1995. They don't want to turn Roman heel for whatever reason, even though he's been booed out of every WrestleMania main event that he's main evented. And as long as they're still selling Superman gun hand thingies, then that's pretty much all they care about.
Yeah.
So I think that bad news earlier, the death of Jim the Animal Neidhart.
Yeah, that I was at work when I was looking at these tweets, and I was like, I couldn't even believe that was even real.
Yeah, Jim was 63, and the talk, according to TMZ, is that he suffered a seizure.
No, I heard that he fell.
Yeah,
and that it was reported that he fell, hurt his head, and someone called it in as a seizure, and then
okay.
When they came in, they were saying, "Oh snap! It's it's the Neidhart family." That's how I read it. I don't know if it was reported differently because most of the tweets that I was reading, most of the websites, it was like, "Oh, his passing," and everybody just saying nice things and whatnot. But that was the one thing from TMZ I was able to pull out.
And I haven't watched Raw yet, but they had Rhonda come out because Rhonda is friends with Natty, and right. she gave a very heartfelt speech about Jim the Animal Neidhart, which someone was able to put it online, and it was actually pretty good. And somebody also said that they only put up like a 15-second promo for Jim, which I don't get why that company does that.
I don't know. I know she was taken off Raw for tonight. I know that. That's what I read somewhere earlier, but...
Yeah, she was supposed to be in a tag match with somebody, and she got taken off, so... poor Natty. I mean, just the whole
It's hard to believe because of the fact that I just saw the last season, I think, of Total Divas he was on, and he just looked so healthy and whatnot, and just it's hard to believe someone like that could just I don't even know if it was slip and fall, but just hurt his head and just not make it out of it.
Well, it's kind of like I don't mean to bring the mood down, but like it's kind of like with Dusty Rhodes. Like when he died, he fell. The story is that he actually fell. I think he fell down the stairs, and that he died at the hospital. I think to failed kidney or something like that. I don't have the. Don't quote me on that.
I think he was didn't he have cancer?
Dusty? No, I didn't hear anything about that.
Someone had. Let me see. I could have sworn that's. I did not hear about the fall. I thought it was that he passed away because of an illness. I don't know if it was. I just assumed it was cancer then.
Let me pull it up real quick.
Kidney failure. That was his death. You're right.
Yeah, like he had a fall in his home, and he ended up having kidney failure in the hospital not too long after that. And a close friend of mine told me, when you get to a certain age, even bumping into a coffee table, that can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compare my problems, to somebody else, but I ended up, fucking up my knee at one of my jobs. I was trying to pull something really heavy, and I almost fell, but I caught myself. But I ended up, it almost looked like I was doing the splits, and my left knee just anytime I turned or bend down, it would feel like it was about to snap.
Oh, that's terrible.
So, it sucks for that family, because someone posted a really sad picture where it showed all the members of the Heart Foundation, but it grayed out all the other members except for Brett.
Right.
So it's very unfortunate for that family.
Yeah, it is.
I think I tweeted Natty. I just let her know I'm sorry for her loss, and just to lose a parent at any age, it sucks.
Yeah.
To lose a family member, it sucks. There's really no other way to put it. Damn. Yeah, I'm sorry for bringing the mood down.
No, it's a hot topic. That's what happened today.
Yeah, it was actually I learned that today, because I already had my notes down for the show, and then that happened. I'm like, Jim, my memories of Jim, when I first started watching wrestling in '97, that was when Brett was in WCW, and that was when they brought Jim the Animal Neidhart went to WCW. So that's how I remember him. And then watching old tapes of the Heart Foundation, and they were undoubtedly they were probably the most over tag team in that era. And Jim was known as Jim was more the talker and Brett was the worker. So what are your memories of Jim the Animal Neidhart?
I definitely remember him from the Heart Foundation, even his solo when gosh, I don't want to say this is 80s? 80s, early 90s? Yeah. I remember I was a kid when it was going on, and that was one of the factions that you definitely wanted to see. It was one of the things that I've always loved Bret the Hitman Hart, and when he had, when you had Owen and the British Bulldog and everybody, it was good. It was good wrestling. It's kind of if you have to pick a part of, of what you remember when you were a kid as a wrestler, that's definitely one of the factions you definitely wanted. You associate Heart Foundation, DX, you have APA, you had, I'm trying to remember who else. Money Inc. You had a lot. Yeah. Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and Gangrel. So that's the one that sticks out, because it's Bret Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart. It hasn't been a good month for wrestling. Brian Christopher, passed away last month, and what was it? Jerry Lawler, I think, wants to look into his arrest.
Yeah, he can't talk about it because there's been an investigation, because it's said that it doesn't seem like it was something that it was a suicide.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about it. I heard the Soup guys talking about it. I don't know. Okay, let me try and get the facts. Alright, so the story is that they arrested him, and then they put him in solitary confinement. For what reason?
That I don't know. All I know is that they put him in solitary confinement, which makes no sense to me. And then supposedly he tried to hang himself, and then he died at the hospital. Which made no sense.
Yeah, because you only put someone in solitary if they're a danger to themselves or to others.
Right.
So, yeah, that makes no sense. So, I mean, Jerry, as a father, he has a right to look into it because, you brought out the facts and the facts that I heard from other people and I read about. It makes sense. This sounds a little fishy. So, like, do you think maybe the jail or maybe the hospital or somebody else other than Brian had something to do with this?
I mean, correction officers are supposed to make sure that the prisoners are, kept alive. They're supposed to protect each other, their staff, and make sure that, no one's killing themselves. So, I don't know. It's hard. Who's to say that it was the correction officers? It could have been someone from one of the inmates.
Yeah, I mean, we've had, we've seen episodes about that, like on Law and Order, or I've heard, true stories about stuff like that happening, and the courthouse is covering it up. So, I mean, that may be a possibility.
That's true.
All I know is that, a young life was lost that shouldn't have been lost.
No, you're right.
And regardless of how you feel about Jerry Lawler, that's his kid. So,
right.
I think that covers everything that I had on the docket tonight. Is there anything you wanted to discuss in particular?
No, I think we pretty much covered a lot. Yeah.
Oh.
I can't think of anything off the top. Yeah.
All right. Wow. Hey, I'm very grateful that you took time out of your day to do the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for the invite.
Hey, it was more than a pleasure. You're always welcome back to the show. Just say the word.
Thank you.
Did you wanna plug Dark Chronicles?
Yeah. So Dark Chronicles is part of the Don Tony Kevin Castle show. It's on their Patreon page. It airs twice a month. It's uploaded by midnight on Tuesday night, going into Wednesday morning. Mm-hmm. It's only $5 to listen. If you want to ask questions or get more involved, there's other tiers. But, for $5, you don't just get this show. You don't get just Dark Chronicles. You also get Castle Chronicles, which is Kevin's other show, in which, it's more an intimate show with Kevin and what he discusses and his life and his adventures and whatnot. You also get other shows that DT has that are great. So one of them being which was actually one of my favorites, is This Time in Wrestling History. And he preps them up really well. He has clips of, maybe like one of them was like The Rock, like an old show and whatnot. So it's pretty good. So for $5, you get a lot of programming for the entire month. So definitely support the guys, support our show. If you want to follow us, we all have our Twitters. Mine is @DarkTemptress, and that's DarkTemptrez. And then you have Kev Castles and Don Tony.
Yeah,
and Missionary.
And Mish, who's
and Joey.
And John.
And John. The boys.
The boys.
Wrestling Soup. Joe loves Wrestling Soup too.
Yeah, Wrestling Soup every Thursday nights on Mixlr at 8:30. Well, 8:30 my time. Yeah, I've been a loyal patron for a year.
Thank you.
Yeah, a year. You're very much welcome. Best $5 I've ever spent. It's worth the money. You will love what you hear. If you're not a big fan of wrestling, that's okay. They do podcasts that aren't necessarily about wrestling, like DT does blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Or I think he just did a new one called A Much Ado About Nothing. I think. I don't know. I need to look at that again. And then, of course, Castle Chronicles, Dark Chronicles. Both great shows. Both have their own different, flavor to it. And then you got Wrestling Soup, which, they have the Frank and Gus Show, Global Balding, Side Salad. So if you have $5, please spend it on this. You know, they don't need me to advertise for them because they already have a lot more followers than I will ever dream of. But you know, I'm a loyal fan. I also respect them. They're good people. Like Trez, she's good people.
Thank you.
And yeah. As for me, the show, you can hear it on Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and Castbox, which I don't know how I got on there. Yeah, I'm gonna edit this show and I'll post it at midnight for tomorrow.
Awesome.
So yeah, Trez, again, you're always welcome on the show. Just say the word.
Thank you.
All right. See you later.
Take care. Thanks for everything.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.